bones of the ashes. The spirits light up the night, looking down the
Now, we're live from the Untold Radio Network. It's Untold Radio AM with Monster Quest producer, host Doug Hajicek, and co-host Jeff Perrella Jr. Untold Radio AM is going live right now.
This show is for entertainment purposes only. Yep, that's the ticket. Now here are your Untold Radio AM hosts, Doug Hajicek and Jeff Perrella Jr.
Here we are.
Hello. Hey, how is everybody? I see a whole bunch of new people.
Cool.
Oh, and we got Roger. I see Roger. It's here from Squatch and Holler.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah, he's got his name listed as Roger Holler, but I'm not buying into it. I know his last name.
I suspect we know who that is.
Yeah, I do. Anyhow, hello, everybody. Thank you all. I see a number of moderators. Thank you. We might need you. But
you never know.
It's good to see all of the Untoldians.
Yes. All the Untoldians in the fringe space.
Yes. I like that. The fringe.
That's where we are. This is the fringe space.
I've been in the fringe space all day. In fact, I skidded in. Like I did the Mishke skid.
Oh, he's something else. We got to have him on again.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Oh, I'll get him back on. Anyhow, so episode 260, welcome.
260.
We have the man of mystery from the big state of Texas on tonight.
Yep.
Tex Wesson. What a cool name. Oh, my God. What I could do if I had a name like Tex Wesson.
The rolled by the tail. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, my God. He could have been a movie star or anything. A name like that. Okay. Anyhow, but we're going to dive deep into Tex. I got a chance to, we were visiting like two little kids today. We were just talking about everything. And it's like, we won't be short of stuff to talk about.
Awesome.
And so we're going to dive deep into Tex and his crazy field research and all the crazy things he's seen and encountered. And then we're going to do a little science news and clips and trivia. I might send something, no charge.
Possibly. Maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
Not a contest.
No, not a contest. I might send something, no charge for the trivia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but not a contest.
Not a contest.
Nope. Say it again, Jeff.
It's not a contest, everyone.
No, it's not.
Make sure you're clear on that.
Absolutely not.
Powers that be. It's not a contest.
Anyhow,
no wagering.
You remember that road that we were driving?
Yeah.
And then, of course, we saw the little miniature deer, which we'll talk about in a second. The not deer.
That was bizarre, yes.
It was, yes. The little tiny miniature full-grown deer. Okay. But we drove by there twice, and we saw the men of mystery with the spotting scopes and the cameras over a kind of a semi-flooded field, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I drove by the next day. People were out there again, drove by again on the way home. People were out there, different people this time. I'm like, what is going on? Because I do not see anything.
No.
Nothing. And I just like, well, I'm not going to stop. I kind of wanted to. But then me and Yvette drove by the third day. And I haven't told you this. I was saving it. So there are, that field, right?
Yeah.
And then the field across had maybe even 1,000 of these white spheres that were half embedded into the ground all over randomly.
Like that.
And I don't know what they were. I've never seen anything like it. Yvette had no clue. We're like, what? And they were really bright white. Like there's no way they were part of the farm or anything. I mean, I don't know what. And so like an idiot, I just drive right on by. And there's people out there with the spotting scopes and the cameras. And I don't know what they're doing.
Weird.
But you would think my curiosity would have gotten, I would have pulled over.
Yeah, at that point, you probably should have.
But I've gotten in this habit, Jeff, of just driving by the weirdness.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want anything to do with it. I just want to go.
I'm curious as heck what it is. It actually looks like a Pink Floyd album cover. That's the kind of thing they would do.
Yeah. Anyhow, so that's my story. Show that picture of the knot deer, the artist rendition of the knot deer. This is kind of what we saw. It was like fox sized.
It was tiny. It was,
but
weird.
it was a deer, full grown white-tailed deer.
It was not a fawn. No way.
Nope, it wasn't a fawn. But anyhow, so that was weird. This is all on the same day. This started. It was like that whole area became the triangle.
And it's not a remote area. It's a very well-traveled area. Lots of traffic.
Yeah.
It's not like it's some remote area. It's very, very busy road. Strange.
What? Yeah. Who knows? I don't know. I just keep that one a mystery. But I will take a picture if I see these white things all over the field. And they were, I would say they were about 5 inches in diameter.
Weird. I wonder what the heck.
Really bright white. Yeah, really bright white. And they were all like equally buried in the soil. Like they fell out of the sky. Yeah. Anyhow, enough of that crap. Moving on. Let's get into the news.
Will do.
And then what should we do after the news? What do we have scheduled?
We got a fun, weird fact of the week.
Oh, okay. We'll do that.
Do some news.
Untold radio news that can be a bit weird is right now.
All right. Oh, and yeah, by the way, Jeff, if you want to put up comments over the news, please do.
Okay.
I think it just keeps it entertaining.
All right.
So feel free. Okay. Have you ever heard, I've never heard this term, second sound has been discovered.
No.
A new type of sound. Now, you read a headline like that, and you're just kind of like, huh, what? And it's true. MIT has discovered a second type of sound that's heat-based. So heat produces sound. And apparently, our bodies can even hear the sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or did I just make that up?
Probably.
Oh, nice. It says scientists at MIT imagined something bizarre. Heat moving as a wave through a quantum fluid instead of spreading outward. They call it second sound. And it says even how matter behaves inside neutron stars. So it's like heat moving like music instead of smoke, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
So it's like sound waves coming off heat, but it does produce sound. So we'll have to talk more about that later. Apparently,
it seems like there's an awful lot of new and strange things happening, like more than normal.
Yeah.
We're discovering new stuff. It's pretty cool.
So this is a kind of connected sort of to quantum physics, sort of. But it's heat waves rippling through fluid. It's kind of the way to think about it. Then a rare blue whale was sighted after 20 years off the coast. And you can say that state. Go ahead, Jeff. Say it.
Massachusetts.
I just want to choke on my crackers. When I say that word, I just can't do it.
Massachusetts.
I just say Mass. It's like, no, not doing it. Anyhow, so apparently after first time in 20 years, a blue whale was spotted. It's Earth's largest animal. Take note. It was spotted and it swam right toward the whale watching boat, leaving scientists and passengers in tears. Jeff,
that would be something to
see.
Are
you doing a Coke commercial?
No, why?
I just wondered. I keep seeing Coke. I got my.
Oh no! This is just a water bottle.
No, but doesn't it say? What does it say on it?
It's
it looked like Coke. Oh,
it's Duluth Pack. This is Duluth Pack store in Duluth.
I thought you were doing a Coke commercial.
Nope.
I thought maybe you were taking some graph on the side.
That's a cool store, by the way. The original Duluth Pack store up in Duluth. Awesome store.
Been there. Yeah, I can't afford anything in it.
No, it's not cheap.
Anyhow, so the scientists and the whale watchers were literally in tears, crying.
Yeah,
big deal. I guess it's a big deal to see a blue whale.
Yeah, it's a rare animal.
And when you haven't seen one in 20 years, I guess
They were actually thought extinct for some time.
yeah, that's crazy. And then a python challenge in Florida was won by a family, and they won $10,000. And why does that image look just like Castro?
I was just going to say that. It looks like it's exactly like
Looks like
Fidel.
Fidel Castro. There it is. Okay. Apparently, sorry, we don't think your family looks like that. I'm sure that's not what's going on. Okay, so a Tennessee family won 10 grand by capturing 20 Burmese pythons in Florida's annual challenge.
Yeah, they got a bounty on them. They're really bad invasive species.
So these invasive snakes devastate the Everglades, and they are thought. And even though over 200 were caught this year at this marathon, experts believe 300,000 still lurk in the wild.
They have huge broods. Yeah, their broods are big.
So snake broods. What do you call a baby snake? Is it like a kit?
I'm not sure.
Is it a calf?
No.
Is it
I don't
a
know.
serpy? What is it? Okay. I have no idea.
I should know that.
I don't know. But anyhow, so can you imagine going on vacation, coming back with snakes?
No.
Instead of souvenirs, yeah. And then a rare gorilla was captured on footage. You gotta love that picture. Apparently, it represents a video frame going by.
Yeah.
This is the I can never think. Cross River gorillas, and it's the rarest great ape on the earth.
Oh, interesting.
200 of them. At one time, they had counted 300, but there's only 200 left.
That's sad.
Conservationists call the footage a breakthrough that could help protect them as they are critically endangered. Yeah, I agree with that at 200. It's pretty bad. So it's kind of like it's better than catching a Bigfoot on camera.
I'm glad that we still have some left. It's in what, Nigeria, you said? Yeah, Nigeria. Wow.
Yeah. Cross River gorilla. That's how I feel today. And then some little news highlights. An asteroid. It's called 2025 QH16 whizzed by Earth yesterday, measuring 43 feet across. Just missed us. It zoomed by at 18,500 miles per hour. It says it posed no threat. Yeah, I bet. I bet. Didn't pose any threat. Apparently, it was 2.8 million miles away. Yeah, okay. I guess that's okay.
Pretty good margin there.
It says QV5, which is 35-foot bus-sized, and QD8, 71-footer, airplane-sized, will make their presence near soon at only 136,000 miles away.
That's actually pretty close.
But it says it still is not hazardous. That could be our famous last word. You don't tempt Murphy by saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't. And then a massive, apparently they really didn't talk about it much, but there was a massive solar storm that hit Earth the other day. And apparently...
Oh, you know what? I had terrible radio reception.
I did too. My internet went out. And I'm like, what's going on? I got the wheel of death just spinning for hours.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of AM radio still. And oh man, that explains it.
Okay. So it says a coronal mass ejection merging with another one struck Earth at 2.1 million kilometers an hour, compressing our magnetic field. It threatened satellites, power grids, and it lit up auroras around September 1st and 2nd. Scientists warn of our infrastructure vulnerabilities amid solar cycle 253. So there you go. So if you're having trouble, that's why.
Yeah, it totally explains it.
If you couldn't get your squirt gun to work or whatever it was that you owned, probably was that solar.
I couldn't get an AM
CME.
signal in my house at all. I thought it was the radio.
I gave up on AM because they've cut their power down at all the stations too to save money. And so the AM powerhouses, remember at CCO, you could get it
Oh yeah, get that
10
forever.
states away. Oh yeah, those days are gone. Okay, and then there was a tiny moon discovered orbiting Uranus. Photo 7, Uranus. It's one word, Uranus.
Yep.
And there it is, smooth. I wonder what's on it. Looks like it's like satin smooth. What do you think's on it, Jeff?
If it's that smooth, it's too small to be covered in gas. I don't know.
Lawn? Golf course? What's on it?
Styrofoam. It's made out of styrofoam.
Looks like it. All right. So apparently this is only 6 miles in diameter.
Oh, wow, that's tiny.
I mean, you could literally auction this thing off and live on it. You can own it.
I'm surprised it's actually round if it's
It says it's positioned between Afella and Bianca, whatever that means.
Ophelia, yeah.
Oh, Ophelia? Oh, yeah. See? I know how to pronounce these words. It brings the known Uranian? Is that a word? Uranian moons to 29. So they have 29 freaking moons.
They still keep finding moons around Saturn and Jupiter. Yeah, there's so many.
That's crazy.
Yep.
How come we only have one? I want 29. Okay, enough of that. And then we have the weird fact of the week.
Weird fact of the week. It's now time for Untold Radio Weird Fact of the Week. That is kind of weird.
And you can take the limelight on Weird Fact of the Week. I'm hiding.
I lost my picture here. Hold on a second. There we go.
Didn't. So the weird fact of the week is that octopuses don't always just sit around. Sometimes they actually throw things, and they throw things at each other. Isn't that weird?
It is. They're crazy animals. They're weird.
So scientists in Australia caught them on camera scooping up shells and silt, and then blasting them through with using their water siphon, which I've seen in person. It's really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
With the squid, spraying out that siphon. It's like a jet engine. Sometimes apparently they use their siphon and stuff, and they move stuff and throw stuff just for housekeeping, but the camera guy witnessed them throwing things at each other, and they hit each other 50% of the time. So it's like
they really are
dodgeball.
amazing animals.
Dodgeball.
They're just so bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine if you were a diver and then all of a sudden you came back and said,
throws a rock
damn, octopus threw something at me.
Yeah,
So they think it's for either social interaction. Yeah, usually throwing things at each other is for social interaction.
Sure, yeah.
Or even underwater octopus dodgeball. Huh. I thought that was my line. It's the only known example of non-human animals intentionally throwing objects. People that tell me bears throw rocks, take note. It's octopuses. Maybe we have forest octopuses, Jeff, throwing rocks.
You never know. There's land-dwelling crabs. Why not land-dwelling octopus?
Yes. And next we are going to do, I wanted to talk for a second. We're going to do 5-minute witness. And I do want to remind people, I really would like if you would either get a hold of me and Jeff. Our emails are posted, even in the open of the video, our emails are on there. Get a hold of us. We'll either set up a recording, or you can just record it yourself on your phone and send us the tape. It can be with your face on it or just audio only. We would love to hear any story that's cool. And so our story next is with Leo Eckenrode. It takes place in Maryland. Leo was a USDA Forest Service employee, right? So he should kind of know what's going on.
You think so?
And this is about how a stone throw really changed his life and his thinking. So let's get into it.
It's time for 5-minute witness. Short stories of strange encounters with the unknown.
5 minute witness, that's all it takes. Truth on the table, no time for fakes. Quick as a flash, make no mistake. 5 minute witness, for goodness sake.
All right.
Now, who in the hell posted, before you play it, he's right. He said, not true. Monkeys throw poop.
That is true.
But there you go. It said non-human. Well, they're non-human. So are you ever right? I never thought about that. Gorillas throw things.
Yeah.
Bigfoots throw things. Okay, anyhow. So let's go ahead and play our audio.
Yep, here we go.
My name's Leo, and I live in Baltimore County, Maryland. Years ago, there was an item on the local news saying that these kids had seen a Bigfoot on a road not far from where I live. They told their parents, and their parents called the police, and it was on the local news for a couple of days. And a group of friends of mine, we parked along that road, which is where the entrance to the trail was, to just walk down and see what we might find. And as we walked along the trail, it was open on both sides like a field. And then further up ahead, you could see where the trail went into the deep woods. There are a lot of woods and forest around where I live because it's where the Gunpowder River is dammed to create the Loch Raven Reservoir, where the Baltimore City and Baltimore County get their drinking water. It's really high quality water, so it's a big draw for wildlife. So as we walked along the road, I had to relieve myself, so I asked my two friends to stay where they are, and I would walk ahead into the forest so I could have some privacy. While standing there, relieving myself, all of a sudden, this stone came arcing through the trees, and you could hear the sound of the ripping leaves as it crashed through the leaves and then crashed with a thud on the ground, period. I thought that was really strange and unusual. So when I walked back to meet up with my friends, I told them, and I said, "Did you guys throw a stone into the woods?" And they looked at me like I was crazy, and we laughed, and I knew it couldn't have been them because they were behind me and the stone was in front of me, arcing from left to right. So anyway, we walked into the woods and didn't see anything else, but I thought that was so strange that that happened because I've hiked many, many times in the woods and I've never had anything thrown at me. And it is just so funny that it happened when we were investigating an alleged Bigfoot sighting. So that's my story. And like I said, I don't really know what's going on, but I thought it was worth sharing it with people. Thanks.
Now, he had not told that story in 40 years. First time. Changed his paradigm. So thank you, Leo, for taking the time to do that. And that was, again, in the 1980s. And he's just now talking about, don't be like Leo.
Yeah, let us know.
If you have a story, get it out there. If it isn't us, somebody else. It reminds me of what happened to me the other day. I went to a man's house to buy something, and I wasn't even there 2 minutes, and a tree came down.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, I had a sighting about a mile from here with Yvette, and Yvette was sitting in the car, and he goes, of Bigfoot, and he goes, really? And he goes, I said, well, that tree was huge and it just came down. There's no wind or nothing. He goes, yeah, that's happened before when I come out by the barn. And I'm thinking, okay, anything else? He's telling me all these things, right down to a big, huge, massive turd he found in that human-like turd in his yard, an entire deer skeleton brought and then laid down in front of his, right across his driveway, on and on and on, bangs and sounds. But he's living there 31 years, and this has been going on.
Wow.
Educated him. So there you go.
Interesting.
Don't be like that.
Yeah, let us know.
Well, not just us, somebody.
Yeah.
Hold it in. Get some information. All right. Enough of that. Oh, do you want to throw up photo 9?
Sure.
And this is what Jeff was going to put up. Thing.
Technical difficulties. I can't do both at the same time. It won't let me.
Oh, well,
It's a great image.
Who knew? That is a good image. All right. Tech breakdown. Quick. Let's do it.
Breakdown.
All right. Now, normally I do breakdown and stuff you can buy, but tonight I'm going to talk about something absolutely fantastic that you cannot buy yet, but it's going to be commercially available, they say, in 2 years. Right? The game changer. There's a lot of technology coming out that's kind of mind-blowing, and I thought this was a fake story. Adam sent it to me. Thank you, Adam. And I went, that's got to be fake. There's no way it can be real. Go ahead and throw up the first photo. And I did research and found out, oh my God, this is completely real. So they have developed a pair of contact lenses that allows you to see in the dark. It becomes night vision.
That's amazing.
And that is amazing. And so the world is about to be changed, in many areas with exponential speed. And this is one example. So you wonder, well, how in the world do they do this with no electronics? It's just a contact lens. It's no different than if you wear contacts, but it's the minerals that they've embedded into it, right? And I can get into the nanoparticles that they've put into it, but these work so well. They work with your eyes closed.
Wow.
You can see in the dark with your eyes shut.
That makes sense. You can see infrared goes through your eyelids.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, your eyelids don't even offer a cover up for seeing in the dark. So they take nanoparticles that convert near infrared to visible light.
Wow.
They have prototypes done. They're testing them out on mice right now. It said they could be commercially available 2027 through 2030, right?
That's crazy.
But if you could imagine if we popped in, contacts and you could wear them all the time. And
just occurred to me that would be pretty useful for someone with nefarious intent.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah.
It would be very weird. So it's non-invasive. They're transparent, so you can wear them during the day. Obviously better than heavy night vision gear. These lenses are soft. They're battery-free. They maintain regular vision while overlaying infrared perception.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They will work with your eyes closed. It penetrates your eyelids.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It said,
I want some.
Yeah, well, there you go. It says in mice, the lenses enabled rodents to behave differently in infrared lit spaces. So that's kind of how they started testing them. Just think, there's somebody in the world putting contact lenses on mice. Think about this, Jeff. Right now.
And that's the stuff we know about. I think when we find out something weird like that, I always think about the stuff that we're not going to hear about for 20 years that they're actually doing.
Or 50 years.
Yeah. There's strange stuff going on.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The problem is, though, I thought it won't record what you saw unless, of course, you're hooked up to Neuralink.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Yeah, but it is weird. It does weird me out thinking there's
crazy.
some dude putting contact lenses on mice with these night vision contact lenses.
Yeah.
So that's real. All right, enough of that crap. Moving on.
Moving on. You want to do some clips or some trivia?
Yeah, let's do clips quick.
All right.
All right. This first clip, number 1, is something called a sound stone. And you would never think, and I've never heard of a sound stone, at least not in recent memory. Go ahead and play the clip, then we can talk about it real quick. Okay, you can stop it.
Wow.
You get the idea. Stop the clip. Okay. So this was a man who found this out. And his name, maybe you want to pronounce his name. It was Panuccio Ciola. I know you're going to correct. He's like Italian, is he?
Sorry, I've got the next clip ready. Let's see here.
Anyhow, it doesn't matter how you pronounce his name. But he apparently, he was a sculptor, and he lived from 1942 to 2016. He was a Sardinian artist, sculptor, and a muralist. But he was best known for his groundbreaking work with sound stones. So he discovered a fascinating property with certain limestone and basalt that resonated when rubbed gently with a rock.
That's neat. It's a cool
So
sound.
now Eric can grab rocks and start rubbing them on other rocks to see if he can get a sound.
That's really cool.
Right, Eric? Okay. Yeah, it is cool. And the next one's really mind-blowing, too. This is really weird. This is about a volcanic snail that is basically got an iron shell and is magnetic. I confirmed all this. It's a magnetic snail. Go
I've
ahead and
actually
play
read
it.
about this. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, go ahead and play it.
These are scaly-footed gastropods, and apparently they were discovered inside a volcano. They can handle temperatures of over 750 degrees Fahrenheit, and they have an iron shell. But that's not even the craziest part. These snails do not consume anything. Instead, they absorb iron particles from the volcanic vents underwater, and then they take those iron particles and convert them into nutrients and energy. So you mean to tell me that not only is this the only creature in the world with an iron exoskeleton, they also consume iron? That's a freaking Pokemon.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, and I did a little research. Obviously, I don't want to put crap up. But the
I bet
snail,
you read about those. Yeah, that's a real deal.
yeah, the snail armors itself with iron sulfide minerals.
Mm-hmm.
So it is ferrous. And the outer coating on the shell has 3 layers: inner aragonite, middle organic layer, then an outer iron sulfite layer. And they are magnetic. So these plates become mineralized with iron sulfide, and it actually is an iron armored shell. It's crazy. Yeah. And they
Absolutely amazing.
And they basically, these volcanic snails exist. Their shells aren't solid iron. Okay, so we know that.
Mm-hmm.
But they're coated and reinforced with iron sulfide. That's why they look jet black and are even slightly magnetic. No, you're not going to take a neodymium magnet and they're not going to just go.
Magnet fishing.
Yeah, they're not going to do that. But anyway, I thought that was pretty
Yeah,
mind-blowing.
wild.
All right, clip 3. This is pretty self-explanatory. You can play a sound. There is a funnel cloud.
Hey, look up!
Scary.
Nuts.
There you go. All right. Are you scared of tornadoes, Jeff?
I've never seen one up close. I'd kind of like to.
Better knock on wood, sir.
Yeah.
All right, clip 4. This is really interesting. We're talking about sound and the sound rocks. Now, this is really mind-blowing. Okay, so there's evidence, quite a bit of evidence, strong evidence. He's going to present some that the Mayan pyramids, and that would mean other pyramids, were designed by sound because they have created the exact shape of these pyramids with a certain frequency. So go ahead and play the clip.
You have to see this. The builders of this place took a math equation that literally transforms vibration. It's called the Fourier transform, and turned it into a building. Don't believe me? I'll prove it to you. This is a synthesizer. I use it to make whoops. Those are whoops. Chichen Itza takes a sine wave and turns it into a square wave. You increase the semitones, or the pitch, by the same amount of levels in Chichen Itza. How about visually? Cymatic patterns show sound through a metal plate. They have an equation that can be converted into something that we can use to simulate those patterns. The peaks and the valleys show the shape of the sound. Other than making really cool graphics, we can also use this to reveal some hidden architecture and some really old stuff like Borobudur. The architecture is a mirror of the frequency. As we move up in frequency, the patterns get smoother and more complex. And within 100 hertz of that frequency that I just played, you get the architecture of Chichen Itza. Sonically and mathematically. Square waves are binary. You know what else is binary? Biology. If we use a pyramid to illustrate the sequence of biology, you get the binary sequence counting downwards. Counting diagonally, you get the golden ratio that links everything together proportionately. So how would this work?
All right, well, that's enough. He's getting too deep for me.
That's crazy. I'm going to watch the whole thing later. That's awesome.
Yeah. But if you want to investigate that more, there's a lot more on it. But basically, the entire shape and layout of the Mayan pyramids could be duplicated with sound. And the question remains, is that where they and why they built it a certain way? Because they're just discovering some of the sound properties also of the pyramid. Mm-hmm. like a phonographic record. And it works forwards and backwards, right? You make it by talking into the record, and you play it by rotating it. So forward and reverse. All right, next, let's see here.
5 is next.
Yeah, let's do 5.
This is Wonder Wire.
Have you ever heard of this, Jeff?
No matter how hard you try to pull it apart, it will never come apart. Now you can pull as hard as you want, as long as you want. The length does not change. This is impossible. It does not change. It stays the same length, no matter how hard you try and pull it apart. It stays the same length. This is nuts. This is nutty. Like, it feels like you can just pull it out, and it just doesn't come out ever.
All right, that's enough.
Look at the length. Notice the length.
Yeah, I never seen that before.
I'm gonna have to check that out a little bit more. Wonder Wire. It looked interesting, didn't it?
Yeah,
it's an illusion, obviously.
I mean, it's spinning in his fingers. He's not really pulling on it. He's because the wires are twisting his fingers. So.
Exactly. It's an illusion.
It's pretty cool. It's a neat illusion if it's an illusion.
Yeah. All right. Clip 6. Be good or the grappler might get you. Play it with sound.
Go Shepherd, motion auto in. Shepherd at model. Auto.
Fish on.
Grappler westbound auto.
Fish on.
All right. So, if you're not good, the grappler might get you. That has just been deployed in Eagan, Minnesota now. They have that. They probably cost a lot of money. I'm going to put one on my car.
Yeah, it's hard to get away from that. Wow.
Yeah, grapple somebody. All right, clip 7 is really, really interesting too.
An interesting thing happens when you break quartz crystals. On one side of the crystal that got broke, there's a positive charge, and on the other one, there's a negative charge. And the charges can jump from one side to the other. So the electrons jump through the air, and it creates a plasma, or a little spark, when it jumps across. So in order to see this, we need to break these crystals. Now, one good way to break the crystals a bunch of times in a row to keep continuous light is just to rub the two together. Okay, now watch this. This phenomenon is called triboluminescence. And people sometimes call this cold fire because the sparks that form are actually hot, but they produce a lot of light. So this won't start a fire or anything, but you could light your way with it. Triboluminescence has been known for a long time. In fact, it's said that the indigenous Ute tribes of America, thousands of years ago, gathered quartz crystals and put them in buffalo hide. So basically they made quartz rattles with a little bit of skin around it that could let through light.
There you go.
Oh, that's really cool.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Quartz got some weird properties.
That they were twirling these little maraca things and it made light. Who knew? Oh man. Okay, the next one is also another sound. Of course, have you noticed a theme here, Jeff?
Yeah.
Have you noticed a theme? Okay.
I love this stuff. This is cool.
Clip 8 is hieroglyphics they have found they can form with sound. And they're suspecting the entire hieroglyphic alphabet was invented with sound.
The experiment that was designed was to make visible the resonances in the sarcophagus. I set up the experiment, then I stretched PVC membrane across the open top of the sarcophagus. Then I sprinkled sand on the membrane, and when we switched on the sound, this is just pure tones, electronically created tones. A whole range of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs started to appear in the sand. First one was the hieroglyph for backbone or spinal column. It was writhing about like a snake. Antiquities inspector, he was like, "How you do that? How you do that?" We saw.
That is amazing.
See, we just do enough to tease you and get you interested in these things.
Yeah, do your own research. Follow up. It's just cool stuff.
Cool stuff. Okay, the next one is weird too. I had no idea. I've been playing with dry ice my whole life. I had no idea it would do this. Yeah, go ahead. And
If you push the edge of a coin down into dry ice, it sublimates the dry ice in a cyclical pattern on either side of the coin, and it makes the coin flap back and forth at a high rate. Okay, let's try the 50-cent piece. Whoa. Whoa. That's awesome. Wow, that one's really going. It just keeps going. Let's see how many I can get flapping at one time. There we go.
all right, we got
That's
the idea.
crazy.
That is crazy,
I
isn't
might
it?
try that next time I have dry ice. I used to go through a lot of that and shipping out frozen pizzas.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I've played with it and used it for cryogenic trimming and all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's neat stuff. It's
Stuff
really
I don't
bizarre.
even want to talk about.
Okay.
All right. Let's see here. What do we got next?
10.
This is really interesting. These are a bunch of handsome indigenous people that share their names through clicks and pops. Go ahead and play it.
Nani?
No.
What's your name, woman? Antankupu. And what about you? What's your name? Eh? Ah,
Huh, that's cool.
Harry, sorry, I was choking.
Oh, no.
Well, I've had this cough. Yvette got sick like 5 days ago. And of course, I caught it. And so we're sort of okay, but sort of not. Okay, so we've done that.
One more bonus clip.
We have a bonus clip. Yes, this is really short and sweet, but so this guy catches this white moose, right? And what are the chances it also wrecks his lawnmower, his robotic lawnmower?
Oh shit! No.
There you go. That's it.
I have a albino squirrel in my yard. Just cut last couple of days. Completely white squirrel running around my yard. Pretty
Well,
neat.
if you get the white squirrel riding on the white moose, then we'll have a story.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, but the squirrel alone is dead. But they are interesting. I've seen melanistic ones too that are jet black.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've seen that too.
All right. Let's do this. I'm trying to think here. Let's do the whale thing because I really want to send something. No charge, not a contest.
Not a contest.
And let's do this real quick.
It's now time for Untold Radio AM Audience Trivia. Who wants to play?
Yeah, Eric. Yeah, Buttworm's a mod. You better watch out. He'll ban you. Welcome, Buttworm. We're so glad you're here. We love Buttworm, don't we, Jeff?
Sure. Yeah, he's fun.
Yeah, he's a fun mod. He's the mod with the Buttworm name. All right. So who wants to do this? Who wants to play and just a couple people. First people to say, I do. Got to say, I do. And then they can play. Verax, okay, you're on. He was quick. And who else? Who said I do? Is it Pancho? Pancho Zork? Right? Yeah. Okay, you two. So who's it now? I already forgot. It's Pancho and
Pancho and Verax. That sounds like it could be a gang or a band or something.
Yeah.
Pancho and Verax.
All right. What is the largest whale species? Is it the humpback? A, sperm whale, B, or the gray whale? C, or the blue whale? D. There's 4 choices. Humpback, sperm, gray, or blue whale. And what do you think, Jeff?
Well, I happen to know, so I'm not going to say.
Oh, you could have cheated and said you didn't know.
Come on.
So Varick says blue. Hold on here.
And Pancho said humpback Pancho is incorrect. Verax is right. It
So
is
we
the
got-
blue.
So, okay, we got 1-0. All right. Which whale has the longest lifespan? And this lifespan is 200 plus years. That's a long time to live, right?
Yeah.
Is it the beluga, the humpback, the bowhead or bowhead,
Bowhead.
or the right whale? Beluga, humpback, bowhead, or right whale? Greg says right. Planet X says blue.
Pancho said C. What does Verax say?
The correct answer is C. Let's give that one to Pancho. Where's Verax? His internet went out.
Man.
His internet got hit with a solar storm.
Yeah, it could be.
All right, 1-1. All right. Which whale undertakes the longest annual migration? Is it the blue whale, the gray whale, or the humpback whale? Are you recycling a picture there, Jeff?
Yeah, I had to put something up. Why not?
Oh,
It's a picture of a
that's
whale.
nice. Yeah, you're recycling.
It's a cool picture.
But you notice how I have a theme in these shows.
Yeah.
See, we went into whales and then sound and.
Vurex said blue. What's Poncho say? I think Poncho got a slow.
Doesn't matter. I can't help it if their signal's slow.
All right. Poncho said gray, and that is correct.
And who did Vurex get it wrong?
He got it. He was wrong.
Okay,
Poncho,
so Poncho's
said humpback.
2-1. Poncho 2-1. Again, we're going to send you something free. It's not a contest.
Not a contest.
All right. Which whale can hold its breath the longest? 3 hours plus. If you can imagine that, 3 hours without breathing if you're a mammal. Is it the blue? Is it the Culver's beaked whale? Is it the sperm whale or the narwhal? Which whale holds its breath the longest? Blue, Culver's beaked whale, sperm whale, or narwhal?
I would have guessed wrong.
Poncho goes, sorry, I'm cooking steak. You can't do two things at once, Poncho. You can't play trivia and cook steak.
All right. Poncho said B. Did Vurex chime in yet? Well, we'll give that one to Poncho because he's right.
Yeah, he's right. Come on, Vurex. Get with the program here.
Not a contest. There's no rules. We can do whatever the heck we want.
Right. You can do whatever. We can do whatever we want.
It can be an arbitrary as we want.
Which whale
keep it moving.
Which whale has the thickest blubber? Is it the blue, sperm, or bowhead whale? Bowhead. Is it bow or bow?
I think it's bowhead.
Bowhead.
I think.
Okay.
But I'm not positive.
Which whale is the thickest blubber? Blue. Let's see here. Nick says narwhal. Poncho, we don't want to know what you're eating because we're making us hungry. He's cooking steak and eating cold tuna.
Right,
isn't that TMI, Jeff?
Bowhead and Vurex said blue, and Poncho is right.
Oh my God. He's just cooking steak, eating cold tuna, and winning a trivia. What more could you want in life? All right. Right whale, I think it's Callosities. Probably comes from the Latin word callus. Callosities. Like
Callosities.
So, all right, yeah.
Callosites.
What? Okay, right. Maybe. Yeah, that could be it. Right whale callosites are glow-in-the-dark organs, unique things like fingerprints, or oil-producing organs. Which one? Fingerprints, glow-in-the-dark organs, or oil-producing organs? Callosites on a right whale. Come on. It says Vurex is cooking. What is that, Jeff? Cocavin? Cocavin? What's Cocavin?
I can't remember.
So when you
cook,
cook
know that, and I can't remember.
Coca-Cola? What is that?
No, nothing like that at all. I can't remember what it is.
Yes, Poncho. I cook eggs.
So Poncho said oil producing. Vurex said thick skin. They are both wrong.
Yes, you're both wrong. They are rough patches of thick keratinized skin on the right whale's
so
head.
Vurex is technically right. It wasn't the answer you're looking for, but
what did he say?
The answer you're looking for was unique, just like fingerprints, but Vurex did say thick skin, so we'll give him a point for that.
All right. So we'll give Vurex. So it's 2-4. All right. Let's see here. The melon in toothed whales, it's called a toothed whale, is primarily used for what? Is it fat storage, echolocation, focusing echolocation, attracting mates, or buoyancy? Which one? The melon in toothed whales. Where's that music, Jeff? That ding, dun, dun, dun. Never mind. I'm just joking.
We're almost done, actually. Yeah.
Poncho's like, repeat the question.
Nope.
I'm not repeating the question,
lost.
Poncho. You just eat your steak. So did Verax.
Come on, Verax, chime in. All right.
Well, maybe you are going to win, Poncho. All right, I'll repeat the damn question. The melon in a toothed whale is used primarily for fat storage, focusing echolocation clicks, attracting mates, or buoyancy. Verax says echo. I think he beat Poncho. Yep.
Yeah,
all right, Verax, 3-4, man.
Said it first.
Verax is closing in. Scientists determine whale age using, is it their baleen plates, which is how I think they filter feed, their fluke ridges, or their earwax plugs, or their teeth enamel. God, I wouldn't want to be aged by my earwax plugs. Ugh. How gross is that? Scientists determine a whale's age by using baleen plates, fluke ridges, earwax plugs, or teeth. Sly Fox says he ain't got a clue. I like it. Ain't got a clue. I ain't got a clue either.
I actually didn't know that one.
I did not know that. Poncho says teeth. Finally, we get an answer from the steak-eating tuna man.
Both wrong.
Okay. It's focusing echolocation.
No. You skipped one. The whale age is actually earwax plugs.
Oh, yeah, the earwax.
And they were
Sorry.
both wrong.
And I was wrong, too.
Yep.
3
One
wrongs.
more.
Okay. Let's see here.
One more, number 12.
All right. Which whale can break 8 inches of sea ice to breathe?
Oh,
Is it the gray, the bowhead, or the beluga? Which whale can break 8 inches of sea ice to breathe? Gray, bowhead, or beluga? Oh, I see. She says coq au vin is a French chicken dish that's braised with wine. Well, that's what the vin was for. See?
So Verax said beluga. Waiting for an answer from Poncho.
Well, sometimes first answer wins.
Well, except he's wrong.
Yeah, I know, but come on.
I think
Poncho, the bowhead, cause it's got a thick head. I don't even remember the question anymore.
He's actually right.
What was the question? I don't even remember.
Which whale can break 8 inches of sea
Oh,
ice?
yeah. It is the bowhead, yeah. All right, he won. Oh, he didn't win.
Didn't win anything.
He didn't
But
win
send
anything.
Send me your mailing address. I'm gonna.
But we're going to mail you something for free. We didn't win nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing you won.
I'm typing in.
Thank you, Verax and Poncho, for playing. And we really, really hope you enjoy your damn steak. Because you made everybody hungry.
Yeah, so there's my email there, jeffp@untoldradiom.com. Please send me your real name, which I will keep to myself, and mailing address, and we'll get that out to you. You didn't win. It wasn't a contest. But
see, William, he says it's not a contest. I think we need a bumper that says it's not a contest.
All right. Moving on.
We'll do that. All right. Let's go ahead and just take our little quick break, and we'll bring on Tex.
Okay. Here we got a quick commercial for the amazing upcoming New York conference.
Bigfoot's real.
Oh, yes, they say.
They came with their stories. They came with their proof. From the Appalachian hollers to the cabin's roof. The New York Bigfoot Conference just offers more convincing proof. Sasquatch believers, the skeptics too, under one big arena with a curious crew. Vendor booths and chili fries, cryptid shirts in every
just saw. It looked like a Sasquatch.
Shadows play. Bigfoot's real. Don't look away. A man with only a camera says he heard the howl by a creek so quiet near an old church tower. A woman saw footprints as big as a plate. She said, I froze in the woods, I couldn't escape. Celebrity speakers, cameras flash, selling Bigfoot mugs for your morning stash. Bigfoot's real.
The evidence is mounting year after year.
Spotted him just the other day. In the hills, in the trees, where the shadows play. Bigfoot's real. Don't look away.
Come to the New York Bigfoot Conference and believe.
So at the end there was a little QR code. If you want to go back and whoop. And why did
I'm
I
not
do
the
that?
QR code.
What are we doing here?
I don't know. I got my close up. I got my my 1 second of fame finally.
So yeah, check it out. I wish I could go. I'm so bummed I can't go to that one. Looks like it's just gonna be an amazing lineup. Loretta's great. It's
Yes.
gonna be a good show.
Yeah, the host will be amazing, and it will be a really good show, and they are selling quite a lot of tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's all go on a whale. Let's do the Untold Radio Whale Expedition.
That'd be awesome. Man.
With our
Sign
luck,
me
our
up.
boat will sink,
Sign me up.
right? With our luck, the boat will go.
That sounds about right for me. But anyways.
All right. Tex Wesson from Texas. Tex, is it Tex with an S? How do you say Tex with an S? It's already got an S.
Texas.
Texas.
Well,
then that's a state, Texas.
Tex apostrophe S.
Yeah, okay.
Where
Texas
the
Front
Tex is.
Porch Podcast.
Yeah.
So that's where he's from. That's where he was born. And so apparently, yes, Tex Wesson from Texas Front Porch Podcast, all the way to field research. Tex has done it all. He's a man of mystery. As cryptid and paranormal investigations, he does for sure. Tex Wesson encountered a Dogman at a very young age, at the age of 16. That'll bring you to puberty real quick.
That'll bring you to something.
Apparently that happened in North Texas. He has conducted deep dives into various cryptids, including investigating physical evidence of the existence of flesh and blood Bigfoot. And again, he is a man of mystery beyond and beyond. Let's welcome.
Sorry about that. My finger twitched.
I know you're always cutting me off. Would you guys
keep things
gang
moving,
up,
man?
Would you guys all gang up on Jeff in the chat?
Yeah,
Tell
I need
him,
that.
Quit cutting Doug off.
Sorry, but anyways, welcome, Tex. Come on in.
See, Flat's still answering whale questions.
Hi, Tex.
Anyhow,
Hey.
hello. Long time no talk.
Yeah, it's been so long, Doug.
Yeah, we were really getting into it this afternoon.
Awesome.
Yeah,
We
we had a good conversation, and we was like, man, we got to save some of this stuff for the show.
I said, well, we'll forget. We're old enough. We'll both forget before we get on what we talked about. I already have forgotten about it. Anyhow, so I want to dive right in with something juicy. We live in a crazy world. You know this. I know you're a flesh and blood Bigfoot person, but there's a lot of weird stuff out there that we kind of run into. And I know you were out on a very large ranch where you do research. Why don't you tell that story right away to get people, before they do, to go and turn your lights down, because this is really chilling, this story. Go ahead, Tex.
Well, we got approached by the couple that the landowners out there at a conference, at a Dogman conference, and they were wanting some help, and they had reached out to several folks, and I don't, for some reason they got spooked and never came back to do any research. And I told them, I said, we'll help you out, and we're not going to leave you in a lurch or nothing. So we went out there and we did me and one of my trackers went out there and did a preliminary just ride around, and we ended up finding a track. It was an odd track. I mean, it was really weird. But
describe it.
Well, it was basically a canine track with a thumb, and it was just like one that the landowner had found, except he found the left. I believe we found the right one when we were out there. And this is months apart. And he didn't know where we was going to want to go, or nothing like that. So it's not like he could, put this there and then go, oh, let me show y'all over here. And all that's not how it happened. He was just like, where y'all want to go? He said, this is over here. This is over here. This is over here. And we chose the areas we went to. So it's not like he could have, hoaxed it, or, I mean, I guess technically he could have, but he was having all kinds of phenomenon out there.
How big is this place?
2,000 acres.
Holy moly.
2,000 acres. And nobody, now see, he lives on 100 acres that backs up to this 2,000 acres. So he actually don't live on this 2,000 acres, but they're connected. And so this 2,000 acres, it ain't got nothing but cows and gas wells on it, and a couple of old homesteads that are no longer there, and some unmarked graves throughout the property and stuff like that.
Are there forests and trees and
oh yeah, absolutely,
water? Oh,
absolutely.
okay.
A lot of there's a spring-fed creek that runs through it. It is packed full of fossils. I mean, you can't take a step walking down that creek without stepping on a fossil.
Wow.
And it really got me into fossil hunting big time, because I found out how fun it was. Monica Rollins went out there with us, and Monica, and she's part of our team now. So, in fact, I met her at the same conference. I guess that's what do you call it, serendipity or whatever. He might buttworm. He might if he gets buttworms. Yeah. But so we go out there and we do this preliminary stuff, and we're like, yeah, we'd love to come out here and really dive into it. And since then, this was 2 or 3 years ago. Since then, we've made several trips out there, and we don't go out there and just walk around for a couple hours. That's not how we do things. We go out there and we'll stay almost a week. We camp out almost a week, and we try to hit every type of investigation that we can, as far as cryptid, paranormal, even do some fossil hunting out there. So it's you can run the whole gambit out there, and we've had all kinds of activity. I caught what I think was a dogman on camera, but my camera was horrible, of course, and you do not see what I see, what I saw with the naked eye. But the other team at the same night, in another area, the team went one area, and I went by myself down this dirt road and everything. And that's where I saw this, what I think was a Dogman, Bigfoot Michigan rod. While the other team went over to this other area and saw what they think could have been a portal. So this place has got all kinds of activity, and we'll be sitting around camp almost every time we're out there. We'll be sitting in camp because we camp in the same place, base camp, which is right by the creek. And almost every time we go out there, we'll hear, some of us describe it as bottle clinking noises. Some of us describe it as metal clinking together, and it just circles the camp. And as close as this sounds, you should be able to see whatever is making this sound, but you can't. I had my first crawler experience, what they call a crawler, or some people call it a rake or a ghoul. Had my first experience with those.
Well, tell us what happened on that. Seeing that thing. That's ultra creepy.
Yeah. There was 5 of us and there that night, and we were walking up to this old pole barn. And we had been there during the day because the owner had told us that, he got a creepy feeling over there one night. So I said, well, let's go check it out. So we went up there during the day. Nothing special, right? So we went back I think it was about 11:30 or so that night. And we got out of the trucks and we're walking up there. And I saw, yeah, we do. We do. I am the world's worst about putting out equipment. I leave that up to everybody else, pretty much. One, because I kind of look over the safety of everybody else, that type of thing. And I don't want to be distracted by putting out equipment. But anyway, walking up there, there's 5 of us walking up to this barn. And I saw this, I call it a pale crawler because I don't know what else to call it. Okay. It was about human size, human shaped, and it went from the ground up the side of this barn and over the top of the tin roof and never made a sound. It looked like Spider-Man. And it was quick. So I'm like, I froze and I'm like, what the F was that? Did y'all see that? So there's a set of stairs that sits out there by the barn, and it's some job trailer stairs, prefab stairs. They're sitting out there. So I'm gonna go jump on top of these stairs and take a look. And so I climbed up on top of the stairs, and I'm looking on top of the barn and everything, and I'm hollering at this thing, hey, come here, what are you? That kind of thing, And I went to step down off of the stairs, and I thought personally that I got my foot wrapped up in a briar, but and I fell. Now I didn't trip down the stairs. I went from the top stair all the way to the ground, and I always say, thank God bumbles bounce, But so I got up. I was already mad because I fell. But then Uderson's wife, which is the landowner's wife, said she saw a gray-like hand come up from behind the stairs and grab my foot and jerk it out underneath me. So I said, all right. So now I'm really peeved.
And you fell, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I went from the top step, didn't even touch the bottom 2, and just went straight to the ground.
And you don't know why you fell?
No, I felt something wrapped around my ankle. I thought it, like I said, I thought it was a briar. Okay. So, we do carry, but it's not because of the critters, Bigfoot, Dogman, pale crawler. That's not the reason we carry. We have a horrible pig infestation down here in Texas, and they're pretty much, them and the Great American Great North American Meth Head are the two dangerous things you'll run into.
Yeah.
So, but she tells me this, so I'm even more mad.
Well, did you get hurt?
Oh, it hurt, but I didn't get injured. I got hurt. Different. So it hurt my pride more than anything else. So I get up, I'm mad, and I tell everybody, I said, all right, y'all take a drive. Get out of here. Leave me alone give me some time by myself out here. So I drove, I said, give me about 15, 20 minutes by myself. So they drove off, and I start calling this thing out. Come here, show yourself. Let's just see what you're made of, that type of thing. Because I don't know what I'm dealing with at this point. But from what I saw and what she told me, I'm thinking it's some kind of paranormal thing. But who knows I don't know what these things are. I don't pretend to know what they are. There's the gas well sits right next to the barn. And of course you got that gravel pad, where everything is. And it's about 100 yards across to the woods, the other side of the woods from where I was standing. And I hear this huge tree break. And I mean, it was loud. And I don't know how big this tree was, but it was sizable that broke. So I don't know what broke the tree. I don't know if that was what I saw. I don't know if it was a Bigfoot or Dogman, whatever. All of it's on that property. So you don't know what it is. There was the night before this happened. That was our last night out there. But the night before, me and Ulerson and my nephew, this was the first time. Now my nephew's a grown man, but he had never been camping. And I've been after him. I said, hey, you ought to go with me sometime, go camping. Well, somehow we picked this trip for him to go. And so me and Ulerson and him are driving around in Ulerson's truck. And we stopped at the top of the highest elevation of the place, and you can see for miles. And I've got a howl that we'll hear the howl later. But we stopped the truck, turned it off, and I stuck my phone out the window, and I played that howl. And we heard something in the trees. I said, all right. I said, I'm going to get out. Y'all take a drive. Give me about 15, 20 minutes, and I'm going to walk down this hill into these trees and see what I can figure out. So I'm walking down there, and I'm hearing something walk into the tree, walking in the tree line. And when I start getting closer to it, it sounds like it's gnashing its teeth like a bear, I said, all right. Well, then I start walking beside this tree line on this ridge, and it's keeping pace with me. So I start seeing the headlights come over the hills and stuff, and I thought, okay, they're heading their way, so I'll meet them back up on top of the hill. So I start walking back up, and I don't know what I think it was probably a fox or something I spooked, but I walked up on, and about 20, 30 feet from me, I heard, that was probably something normal. But I don't know what was in that tree line gnashing its teeth. It was big, whatever it was, and moving through the tree line. So we've had plenty of experiences out there. And I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Have people seen Dogman creatures on this area?
Yeah, they've identified 5 different ones, even a white one or a gray one.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What do you think of that whole mystery, though? I mean, it's just bizarre.
You're talking about the Dogman, or
the Dogman,
the whole phenomenon? That's, and I've got kind of a loose working theory on that. I think they've been here for thousands of years. And I think it's possible because we hear stories of back in the Egyptian days and almost every culture back in the ancient times has story about some kind of canine deity like figure. If you look back in there. And I think what may have happened, now I know it's just a theory, it's just an opinion, everybody's got one. But humor me here. Okay, so what if the Great Flood, and I think we're all pretty much all in agreement that a flood happened, whether you want to chalk it up to the Bible or you want to chalk it up to whatever, some kind of flood happened.
Well, the Grand Canyon didn't make itself.
Exactly. These fossils didn't get on top of mountains by, crawling out of the water. So anyway, what if the Great Flood killed off most of these things? Okay, not all of them, but killed off most of them. And to bring the species back, they had to interbreed with the canines that were available. Maybe even humans. I don't know. But if they were breeding with the wolves and the coyotes and even domestic dogs and that type of thing as they came up, and the breed started splitting off, that would explain why they're not as hyper intelligent as they used to be when they were godlike entities or deities. Sorry. So that would answer the question about.
So we have dumbed down Dogman.
I think we dumbed it down.
Okay.
We didn't dumb it down, but it got dumbed down.
Okay.
And it would also explain the whole gambit of different breeds or species, however you want to look at it, kinds, types, however you want to call it, that we see. So, I am not a theologian. I've tinkered into the Book of Enoch, but I haven't made up my mind how much water it carries with me. I really haven't yet. That is on the list though. But the Digger Dog says we're getting dumbed down ourselves. We are.
Yep.
Yes, we are.
You're not joking.
Yeah. There, especially in the way
he was definitely referring to society in general.
Yeah.
And I agree.
But
no common sense anymore.
No. But I think that that theory explains a lot that we run into now with the Dogman. But so that they don't, and we had a conversation earlier about these things being dangerous, these.
Yeah. Well, a couple things. I want to backtrack because they're real because you've seen one.
Yes.
And you saw one when you were younger, but not that young. 16, you pretty much get all your senses by then. I still have a ton of memories from being 16 that are very crystal clear. So do you want to it's a great time to tell that story.
Sure.
So as we're talking about these things, and we're going to get into Bigfoot, but as we're talking about these things, and you kind of know where Tex is coming from.
So I grew up in the country. Okay, real little part of a town in North Texas. We had 22 kids in my graduating class. We had 412 kids, kindergarten through 12th. We were all in the same building, just different always. A little bitty town. When we first moved out there, you had a store that also had the post office in it. Okay, it was, and you had a church, and that was
the town was so small. Their last name of most people that lived in the town was Wesson, right?
Yeah. Family tree looks like a telephone pole. Yeah. But
sorry, bad joke.
I actually, honest to God, rode my horse to school on occasions. So it was that small, right? And so I grew up hunting and fishing and camping by myself from a young age. It's just how it's how we did things. And so I had been out hunting in my favorite area, which was about a mile from the house. And it was, I think the place was about 1,600 acres, and I had the permission from the old man that owned it to go out there, because the trade-off back in the day was you were allowed to go, on these places, but you also served as their eyes and ears on, on places on their property. They had these big ranches and stuff that they didn't necessarily see. Right. And if you spotted a problem, you either fixed it or told them and you helped them fix it, that type of thing. That was the trade-off. So I'd been out on this place hunting. I was coming back, had a couple of rabbits hanging on my belt, and I was walking up the gravel road that borders our place. And I was just fixing to jump over the fence and make a beeline across our pasture to the house.
What time of day, Tex?
It was just almost sundown. Almost. So it's still daylight. So this thing comes out of the brush on my left-hand side, and our place is on the right, okay? Runs across the road in front of me on two legs. It was roughly about 7 feet tall. And dives over our barbed wire fence, our 5-strand barbed wire fence. When it dives over the fence, it goes down to all fours real smooth into the tall grass. And I saw the grass move for a little bit, and he was gone. He was only about 25, 30 feet away from me when he ran across the road. Now, I always say it was an underwear changing moment. There's no doubt about it, right? But at that moment, and I know when you explain it, it seems like a long time, but I mean, the thought process takes place like that. I had a choice. I could either follow him like I was planning on doing, or I could take the long way home and then stay on the road. Well, it didn't take much to decide that I was going to stay on the road and not go into the tall grass with this critter, right? So I continue to walk up the road, and the road goes up, and then it goes across the front of our place, and our driveway's on the other side and goes back down this way. So I get home, and pretty much the whole walk home, except for I remember turning the first corner, and I remember thinking to myself, if this thing comes at me, I've got basically a 3-foot club, because I had all I had was a little 410 shotgun with me, and I didn't have any ammo. So I thought, well, maybe I'll get a swing at it. I don't know. So I get home and I walk in the back door, and my mom had a rule: no guns in the kitchen. If that ain't country, I'll kiss your butt, right? So anyway, I go in and I set my gun down on the kitchen table, and I pretty much collapse into a kitchen chair. Well, Mama was in the kitchen doing something. I don't remember what she did, cooking, washing dishes, whatever. But she turned around. I think she was going to scold me for having the gun in the kitchen. And she sees me and she looks at me and she goes, "Oh my God, what's wrong with you? You're white as a ghost." And hand to God, I tried to tell her what had happened, but I physically could not speak. Looking back on it, I was in a state of shock. My sister lived on the same property about 50 yards away from us. She calls my sister, "There's something wrong with your brother, come over here." So she comes over there, my mom, my sister set me down. It took the better part of an hour for them to calm me down enough where I could tell them what had happened. Now, they didn't tell me I was crazy. They didn't tell me I was lying. But they did try to maybe rationalize what had happened. Maybe I saw a big dog, maybe I saw a wolf, or maybe it was a hobo, and my imagination took over and it just scared me. But over the years, I stuck to my guns. My story didn't change, And we wouldn't talk about it a whole lot, but every once in a while it would get mentioned. And we even gave it a nickname, we called it Fred. But it set me back on my heels for the better part of the year. I didn't want to go anywhere. I was scared to go anywhere.
Was that the scariest moment of your life, do you think, or is there more fear going forward in your life?
I think I ran into it 2 more times after that. And each time I was scared. I mean, I think I was scared more the second and third time, but it just didn't. So I didn't, like I said, I didn't want to go anywhere. I quit going camping. I quit going hunting. I quit going fishing. If I had to go to the barn, I went loaded for bear. My dad was like, "Why are you taking why are you taking the gun down to the barn to break the ice on the water trough or feed, whatever?" Well, snakes or coyotes or whatever. I just made an excuse. And about 8 or 9 months later, I started getting mad because I felt like I was being bullied. And I can't stand a bully. But that's what I felt like, that this thing was keeping me from doing what I wanted to do. So I said, I said it had the chance to kill me and it didn't, right? So I started taking little baby steps. I started, I'd camp out in the backyard, or I'd, go camping in the pasture, and I'd go out a little further, and I'd go out a little further. And I finally got back to doing what I was doing. Well, a little better than a year later, I'm in the same place hunting. And the way you got there, there was a tree that had fallen over the fence and that we hadn't sawed up yet. And I would just run up this tree and jump over the fence. Now, this was thick woods. You had to travel the game trails. And it would open up into these clearings, and these clearings differed in sizes to about anywhere enough to throw a camp down to, a small footprint of a small house. So I'm just about to step up on this log, and I hear something, or what I thought was somebody, walking in the woods. I said, "Hey, is there somebody out there?" And it stopped. And I said, "If there's somebody out there, let me know." And it sounded like it just kind of shifted its weight. Well, there was a set of twins that I went to school with, and they lived on the other side of this place, and they hunted it too. And I said, "Look," I said, "David, Doug, if that's one of y'all, quit messing with me, give me a shout." Well, this time I started having flashbacks, right? And I said, "Look, if you don't say something, I'm going to shoot." And hindsight being 2020, this wasn't the smartest decision I'd ever made in my life. So I popped a round off up in the air, and it sounded like a bull coming through these trees. I mean, it was breaking limbs and everything else. And I didn't wait around to see it. I turned around, tucked tail, and ran the whole way back to the house. And I don't know when it stopped chasing me. I don't care. But I didn't. If this thing was fixing to just snatch me up, I didn't want to know. I was just scared, and I was just running. Now that set me back a little bit, but not as long. I said, this thing's had 2 chances at me. It obviously don't want to kill me. So I started going back out and stuff, and I never had another encounter out in the woods. So a while later, I was at the house by myself one weekend. The parents had went up to visit family or something. And it stormed. It was a frog strangler, man. It was thundering and lightning and, raining buckets. And I love storms. So I'm looking out the window watching the lightning and stuff. And our back fence, there's some power poles that ran along our back fence. And the lightning flashed, and I thought I saw something standing next to this pole. I'm like, "What is that? There ain't nothing out there." And whenever the lightning would flash, it looked like it would change positions. It would change stances. I got scared. I went and loaded my daddy's gun. I had it in my lap. I called a buddy of mine from school. I said, "This is going on. I'm scared." He thought I was messing with him. He said, "Oh, you whatever, you wimp. Leave me alone. I got better things to do." I hung up. I finally just fell asleep sitting on the couch with a gun in my lap. And I went out the next day and I looked for tracks, but of course it'd been raining really hard, storming. There wasn't no tracks, but I don't know what this thing was. But I kind of got the feeling that it was the same critter, you know. Now, all that being said, that took place in about a 2-year period. So you fast forward to 2016, and I didn't really talk about this a whole lot. I mentioned it one time with a group of friends and found out that one of my best friends had an encounter, and he just retired from the sheriff's department. But it wasn't with the same type of critter that I saw though. But I got in touch. I remember like it was yesterday. I was at work and we had some downtime, and I was, thumbing through YouTube and I start seeing this thing called Dogman. I'm like, what is this? And I start listening to these encounters. I said, man, there's people out there that saw what I did.
So, okay, well, let me just stop you right there. So this whole time, you had nowhere to place this creature.
Mm-mm.
Like there were no legends locally or anything.
No.
No other.
I didn't know anything but to call it a werewolf, because the term Dogman.
Okay. Yeah, we did have that. Yeah, we had the movies of werewolves, right?
Yeah, that's the only thing I could call it, was a werewolf.
But didn't that just completely just rip your paradigm out from under you on what's kind of roaming out there and the dangers of being outside?
Yeah, it did. I mean, it put a whole new wrinkle into what was out there. And my daddy always told me, he said, son, there's no reason to be scared of the dark, because there's nothing out there that at night that's not there during the day. You just don't see it, right? But I had no idea what I was dealing with. Now we would hear the reports from the ranchers or something that a mare would drop a foal and it would get tore up, or she'd get tore up. The same thing with a cow and a calf.
Yeah.
Dogs would go missing, chickens would go missing. And it was always blamed on one or two things. It was either a big cat, which we had them roam through the area. They have a huge, territory. I think it's 150 square miles or something like that. Or it got blamed on this mysterious pack of wild dogs. Now, me and my buddies, we roamed all over that area out there. Worked on all these horse and cattle ranches and everything like that, and camped and fished and hunted and trapped. None of us ever ran across this mysterious pack of wild dogs that was killing everything.
Yeah.
Right? So I get in touch with this old gal, Danielle Stedman, Dogman Diaries. I see her channel pop up on YouTube. I'm listening to stuff, and her main goal was to help people that were having these. She had an encounter that really spooked her, and that's what she was trying. She would help people deal with it. So I got in touch with her, and I ended up doing some stuff with her for a little while, but she really helped me kind of connect the dots, because I think when we started talking, we think this critter had been around that area for a long time, because about a year or so before I had my sighting, we had a little dog go missing. Well, the only way we found him was we started smelling him, and we lived in a trailer house, and he was up underneath the trailer house. So I had to crawl up there and drag him out. And when I pulled that poor dog out, he looked like somebody had held him up by his front legs and just gutted him. Right? It was brutal. Well, my daddy said, he probably ran into a bobcat or something like that. I don't, whatever. At that point, I hadn't had a sighting or anything. So I didn't, that was okay. Daddy knows better than I do, right?
It's crazy.
Now, you were asking me, about my whole paradigm being shifted and reality being shattered and the whole 9 yards. I knew things were out there that not everybody believed in. My family is originally from Texarkana. My uncle had property in Fouke. I knew about the Fouke monster, about the Foggy Creek monster, before it ever hit the screen, right? So I knew there was something out there, okay? But what I saw wasn't nowhere near what people described as Bigfoot or Sasquatch or the Boggy Creek monster or whatever. This was canine all day long. And I know a lot of flesh and blood guys like me, they don't think Dogman, they think Dogman's a bunch of hogwash. And I'm here to tell you people, there's something else out there besides Bigfoot. You know, I mean, it's, I sent y'all an artist rendition of what I saw, and it's pretty close. It's not spot on.
Jeff, do you have that?
Yeah, there you go. The difference in this picture, there's a couple of differences. The muzzle was a little bit shorter and a little bit broader, and the ears were set down lower on the head, and they were pinned back. But other than that, that's pretty much spot on of what I saw.
It's crazy. So, can you describe a little more in detail, other than the photo, what its body looked like?
Sure. It had a big chest. Okay, it was barrel chested, and it had arms just like a human. Its hands were a little different. They looked like a cross between a human and a raccoon, is the best way I can describe it. Okay. It was kind of salt and pepper, mostly pepper colored. Okay. The hair on the body it wasn't real woolly. It was thin. You could see the charcoal color skin underneath it. Right. It wasn't not black like charcoal, but it was a real dark gray, okay, skin. And but like the hair hanging down off its arms, I remember this, it was about this long, you know, but it wasn't real thick. Sorry, I get goosebumps when I start talking about this. To this day, I do. But I know a lot of people talk about the backward facing legs. Personally, I think that's a misidentification, because it didn't have backward facing legs. Now, a lot of people will argue that, well, a Dogman has backward facing legs and a werewolf does not. Okay. My question is, how do you know the difference between a Dogman and a werewolf? Do you have a pet one? That you know that a Dogman doesn't change, or do you have a werewolf that that change? I mean, I don't know anybody that observes them on a daily basis, you know. But you know, supposedly a Dogman has a tail and a werewolf don't, all kinds of stuff. And most people you ask, well, how do you know? They tell you, well, so-and-so said over on this podcast. No, that's not what I'm asking, right? How do you know? You have your opinion, and that's great. You're allowed to. I don't know that there's a difference. But
yeah.
Anyway, when it got to the legs and the feet, I can understand where the misidentification is coming from, because what I saw was this thing was up on its toes, and it had a very long, narrow heel that was up off the ground. And I think some people are misidentifying that as a hawk, as a dog, as it being dog-legged. So, and if you think about something having that kind of foot mechanic, it would almost have to travel up on its toes to retain balance and everything else. So I think that's what a lot of people are seeing, and they're just misidentifying it, and that's fine. That's fine. You know, whatever you say you saw, I'm not going to argue with whatever you saw. just because I didn't have the same encounter or I saw it different doesn't mean it didn't happen, right? And I think that's probably the biggest problem we get into in this community is, we have our own encounters, and if somebody else's encounter doesn't gel with ours, we tend to dismiss it.
Yeah.
What
kind of crops and vegetation? I mean, they're obviously farms somewhere. Mm-hmm. What type of farms were there right in that immediate area?
Well, we had most of our stuff planted in everything. I mean, we had corn, tomatoes, strawberries, and peas and beans. And
well, the reason I bring it up, and so often, almost every sighting that I've investigated of the Dogman is always near corn.
Yeah, well, and I think probably is. I mean,
I was like, why?
Well, it could be because they can move around in it and not be seen.
Yeah, I don't think that's not doing it for me. And I'm like, what is a wolf doing wanting corn to eat? So
no, I don't know if they're eating the corn. They could.
No, I don't think so.
They could be eating the game that attracts.
Right. That's a good way to look at it. But
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It's like if you think of almost every encounter that I've either heard or investigated, there's corn nearby. I was just going to ask you, was there corn nearby?
Well, we had.
I didn't want to lead you on.
But I think it's probably because corn will attract a lot of game. Deer.
Yeah, deer. Yeah, for sure. Pizzas,
all
deer.
That kind of stuff. Pigs.
Says LBL has a lot of cornfields. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
So that would make sense. I mean, big game follow. Big predators follow this small game,
If people want to look at a map, what's a general area they can look at a map and where your Dogman sighting happened? And nearest town?
Weatherford, Texas would be the nearest town.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was outside of that. So.
Okay.
And there's been quite a few Bigfoot sightings out there and some Dogman sightings and everything.
Do you think they overlap, the Dogman and Bigfoot sightings?
Yeah, I know they do. They run in the same areas. Now I know people that have seen it, that say they've seen them together, seen them working together, seen them fighting, seen them living together, the whole 9 yards. I don't know. I know they're in the same areas. I think they tolerate each other like any other two big predators do. I personally think it's like you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone type thing, because most of your big apex predators, they don't want to fight each other. That's where you hear the term bluff charge. In every species, they would much rather bluff their way out of a fight than fight. Because the smallest injury can turn septic, right? Plus, they don't want to burn the calories, they don't want to burn the energy, and they don't want to take the chance on getting injured. Okay, if you see something fighting to the death, it's pretty rare, really.
Did this creature, when it looked at you, did it do anything that would intimidate you? Any teeth showing, or nose wrinkling? Any kind of intimidation?
Well, the picture, it looks like it's snarling, and that's exactly what it did. When it was about midway, it turned its head and it snarled at me.
Okay.
And that's where, and when I say it was canine, this is one of the reasons that it struck me as being canine, because there's an old wives' tale that if you want a smart dog, get one with black in its mouth or on its tongue, right? And when it growled and snarled at me, I didn't get the feeling that it wanted to eat me. I got the feeling that it was like, just back off, boy, but when it did that, it had a black and pink mottled gums and teeth and tongue. And, people talk about seeing these things. They got yellow eyes, gold eyes, red eyes. This thing did not. It didn't have any of that. It's just brown eyes like a dog, right? It didn't have all these gnarly looking teeth, just canine looking teeth. Wasn't nothing special about it. I mean, except it was on two freaking legs,
Yeah.
you know, and had hands, you know. So, but in the picture, you see the hair get thick right here, and that's what it did. It had like what I considered a mane going down the back of its head and down its shoulders, and almost in a V down its
Well,
back.
isn't that, yeah, because I've had some people say, well, it kind of had like the hyena kind of stripe down its back of hair.
Yeah.
I've heard that before. Even here in Minnesota, I've heard that description.
Yeah.
Like a horse's mane.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard any Dogman sightings, Jeff, that from anybody?
Not outside of what we've talked about here. I mean, I've read a lot about them. I haven't talked to anybody in person other than guests we've talked to here.
Could you look up? There was a Dogman sighting in Afton Alps area in Wisconsin. Could you look that up and you could read that to us, Jeff?
Sure.
See if you can find it.
You bet.
It's really interesting because it talks about the thing that Tex is talking about. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, and the people that see these things on a regular basis talk about them so matter of fact. You know, I'm sure you've run into people too that have seen, you know, multiple times. Like they just, like, it's no big deal. And I'm like, huh?
Well, I mean, you know, honestly, I like to put it this way. Everybody's version of normal changes, and everybody's version of normal is different. And it's amazing what you can learn to accept as normal, right? If you see something enough and you deal with it enough, it becomes part of your normal everyday life. So, you know, I guess, you know, paranormal investigators are no different. You know, I mean, get an EVP it enough or see an apparition enough, it just it becomes something that you just expect and deal with what you're doing. You know, because you don't want to go out looking for these things and then run when you find them. You know, it's just that's what you're out there looking for.
Well, that's what I do. Troy had asked, is this daylight or dark? And I believe you had said it was about getting close to sunset.
Yeah.
But it was still daylight. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to think, but man, you talk about scary. I don't even know what to think. If I saw something like that, I'd be like freaked out. I'd probably never go outside again. I'd be done.
Well, you know, and it did. It took a long time for me. Like I said, it took almost a year for me to start back doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
And it's especially at a young age, you know. But I think honestly, and I believe that everything happens for a reason. Okay. And doing what I do now, you know, I think that tempered me, you know, for the lack of a better term, to be able to do what I do now.
Well, that's obviously that's why you got into the whole thing. I mean, I always kind of chalk it up to a guy is endlessly looking for answers, endlessly looking for other people that they can, you know, relate to.
Yeah.
Because you feel like an instant outsider.
You do. And you question your own sanity.
Yep. Instantly. You go from normal kid, normal person, to somebody that's constantly brain is jumping back to the moment that their paradigm changed. Like and they're questioning themselves. Why did I see it? Am I an evil person? Am I good? You know, am I not normal? Am I crazy? Am I this? And blah, 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 blah. I'm sure your mind just, you know, it doesn't quit.
No, it goes all over the place. And your opinion changes almost on daily.
But don't you think we're also, when you have something happen like that, I think that we're harder on ourselves because I think it does cross our minds like, am I crazy? Am I crazy? Why didn't my friend see it? You know, why is it just me?
Well, and even, you know, even when you want, getting back to the paranormal investigation part of it, even when you're doing a paranormal investigation, and I've had this happen, that you'll have half a dozen people there and they'll all experience something different, you know? at the same time. Well, I saw this. Well, I saw this. You know, it's just different. Why does things appear to us differently? And I think it's because we process it differently. Or maybe it's, you know, these entities. We had this discussion earlier, you know, Doug, that these things know our minds and they know what will get our attention. You know.
Right. Well, you know, somebody had mentioned Monster Quest. Yeah, when I first started, I think one of the first episodes I did was one of them. Very early on, I did Dogman, and ended up giving lie detector tests to a lot of witnesses.
Right.
And as I remember, they all passed except one was just kind of undecided or whatever. But the guts it took for those people to go on national TV under a polygraph test, and this polygraph test expert that gave him the test, he had no sense of humor, like none. Like he was like the most serious guy I've ever met, and he was actually pretty shocked that they all just like they're telling the truth.
Yeah, see, and that was going to be my question. You know, what was his take on the whole thing?
Oh man, I can't remember. I did to talk to him about it. He just said he didn't think they were lying. They think they saw what they saw. You know, it's one of those things that it's so hard to relate to. Even me, as many things as I've seen in my life, I still can't quite relate to the Dogman thing. I don't know why.
I understand.
I just really do. Because there's a void there. There's like I don't get it. You know,
there's a disconnect.
Disconnect,
you know?
yeah.
There is, because I mean, and I say all the time, I wish that I had seen a Bigfoot that first time.
Yeah,
it would have been so much easier to explain.
Yeah, pick your evil. Jeff, did you find anything on that?
No, I can't find. There's very, very.
Well,
few
there's a
stories.
Minnesota. No, there's a Minnesota Dogman page. I was just on it.
Nothing with Afton. I couldn't find anything with Afton.
Well, no, it's there. I just was reading it here not too long ago. And there's a sighting, man. Yeah, Afton Alps, area. Yep.
All right, I'll keep digging.
Well, it's no big deal. I just thought we could find it easy.
No,
the reason I wanted that one read is because it talks about that main thing. You know, like Tex mentioned. I go to that site once a year and I read all the reports again, and then what I'll do is look for anything new. You know. So, do you have any theories on these things? On what they eat, or do you think they're just meat eaters? Do you think they're like Bigfoot, kind of omnivorous? What do you think they eat?
How
do they make their living?
Well, I think most of it's small game. Now anything out there will eat anything. It doesn't matter. Deer eat deer. Okay.
Yeah, they'll eat meat, snakes, frogs, toads, fish.
I think that's one of the first questions when I start talking about Bigfoot and stuff. I think that's one of the most asked questions, and one of the first questions I get. What do they eat? Whatever the hell they want. When you have to, have a calorie intake that these things have to have, and you're talking probably 10,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
That you're going to eat whatever's available. I mean, a dog will eat, cat poop, right? I mean, they'll eat anything.
Yeah. Now, Verax brings up a point that I should make. And you must agree, there's really nothing reputable on footage. I've tested Dogman ears. They came back cat or some damn thing. They weren't even canine. So where in the world is the damn evidence with this? There's far more evidence with Bigfoot. I mean, we're just buried in Bigfoot evidence, but Dogman, zippo, nothing.
I don't know. And I don't know if it's, I mean, how often do we find wolf hair, coyote hair?
Not very often, probably unless you're a wolf biologist.
Yeah. So maybe they don't lose their hair. Maybe they are like a dog. They don't lose their hair in big tufts like, something that's got big and, thick fur like a Bigfoot does.
Right.
I don't know. I've seen footprints. But that's, and we have a possible claw, but that was broke off in a tree. We haven't had it tested yet.
Did you ever listen to that story on Sasquatch Chronicles? There's one really good. I've listened to it like 5 times. There's a biologist who was deer hunting, and he runs into one of these things, and he's an animal biologist, and he sees this thing, and he gets as a hunter, you're sitting in a deer stand, and you have time to observe things, and he's observing this thing, and he ends up shooting it numerous times, and he said it didn't even faze it. But I really recommend that episode if you're interested in the topic. I don't know what they are. Maybe they're metaphysical or some other kind of, maybe they're in the same category as like Mothman or some of these other weird one-off cryptids or cryptids like the rake. Like that
exactly what I was fixing to say,
Yeah, because that you said
or whatever they are.
It defied physics, didn't it, as it crawled up that wall?
Never made a sound. Crawled up a wire wall over a tin roof and never made a sound.
Yeah, and when me and Yvette saw this Mothman kind of thing swoop down at our car, it never flapped its wings. It dropped straight down from the sky with its wings wide open and then headed right for my windshield. And it defied all physics, all air physics.
Yeah.
You can't do that with your wings open, drop straight down like a spider on a web, just drop and then do a right angle towards my car.
Well, there was a sighting out at LBL that they were driving down the road. They were going from, they were coming back to base camp, and I can't remember who it was, and I'm sorry, but they saw this little critter on the side of the road that had, like, if I remember the story right, bat-like wings, but it didn't, when it took off, it was standing upright, and when it took off, it didn't flap its wings.
Right.
It kind of shot up and spiraled.
Yep.
Like that.
Yeah, I've talked to so many people that have said that. They see these things on the ground, their wings are folded, they'll open their wings up and just shoot straight up. I had a woman write me a letter from Colorado that had a disturbing sighting of kind of the same thing I saw. Had no idea I've seen one of these. She writes a letter and she said, the weird thing was, at the end of the letter, she writes, the weird thing was it never flapped its wings. And I went, yeah, okay.
I've never personally seen anything like that. I've seen some weird stuff.
You don't want to.
But I have seen and experienced, when I got into doing research, man, when I was first doing it, I started going out by myself to Brown Springs, Oklahoma, that place is teeming with all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, it's got some dark juju on it around that place, but it's so bad out there. You can't, it's hard to tell, if you can, what's physical and what's not, because there's so much paranormal activity that goes on out there.
Yeah, and it's so hard to connect them or not connect them. It's hard to try to come to any kind of conclusion. I know you've experienced a few weird things. I don't know if you want to share any of these other one-off. They're just one-off things, right?
Yeah.
They happen once, probably never happen again. You don't know where to put it. What the hell bucket do you stick it in?
Yeah, exactly.
It ain't like me and Yvette.
But that's
it isn't like me and Yvette get a Mothman that dives at us every week.
Yeah.
That happened many years ago. That'll probably never happen again. And so you throw it in some kind of gray bucket and you go, whatever. And I'm willing to talk about it now, but for years I wasn't.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the problem is people have these different experiences and they want to throw it all into a Bigfoot bucket.
Yeah.
And I got news for you folks. All this stuff that you're experiencing ain't Bigfoot.
Do you think it's some entity that's an enigma that's pretending to be?
I think they do. I mean, because Paranormal 101, spirits are going to lie to you. Okay. You got spirits that pretend to be little kids, loved ones. They know our minds somehow.
Like they're deceiving. They read our minds and then try to deceive us.
Yep. And I think it's the same thing. I think a lot of, I'm not saying that these things don't speak to them. Something is, but I'm not convinced it's Bigfoot. And it's a legitimate concern. I'm not putting these folks down. I have dear friends that I respect a lot that have these experiences. I'm not dismissing them at all.
Yeah.
But if you go out to these places and you're wanting to communicate with these critters so bad, and if you have these paranormal entities that know your mind, that's a great way for them to get their foot in the door.
So what do you think these paranormal entities might be? Are they evil? Are they tricksters? Are they just spirits with a sense of humor? Are they, you know what I mean? What category do you put them in?
Yes.
Sense of humor?
All of the above.
All of the above. Oh,
all
that's
the
nice.
above. That's just it. I don't know what we're dealing with. I mean, because you see a full body apparition, you get an EVP, you get a disembodied voice, you know, you get things playing with your meters, you get things playing with lights, and I've had that happen,
But we were at Tex, I haven't told you this, but we were up at Snellgrove and we had a bunch of little cameras out. I think there were Wise cameras, and they have a microphone on them. So something goes around and we had them all hidden. It throws a rock at each one and then talks into one.
Yeah.
And it sounded like human words, but it was loud and clear. And of course, half the guys we were with on expedition think it's like an EVP kind of thing. Well, one guy thinks it's like some kind of radio interference. And you get a guy like me thinking it's a freaking Bigfoot out there. We'll never know the truth.
No, you never will.
But you always wonder, and see, that's what's bothering me always about Snell, because although I've seen some shadows walking between the trees, I've never seen anything. So you always got to go, what if they're freaking aliens? What if they're not Bigfoots? What if they're just aliens that just are playing with us? Or what if it's some other, because people have died up there, right? What if it's some kind of other, I don't know. So you get brain diarrhea, right? Real quick.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you want to talk about like that one-off experience you were telling me about in the in the shower?
Sorry. I was actually, the first thing that happened, I was doing a show, and there was some voice that came over my mic during the show, and it was a female voice, and it went, and we're like, okay, but that's not the first time we caught EVPs doing shows.
Right.
Okay? It happens. But it's the first time it ever happened to me. And I'm like, okay. And a little bit later, I'm at the house by myself and I'm in the shower. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I'm washing my beard. And I hear this voice. over the shower, go, "How you doing?" And it's the same female voice. And I stopped and I looked and I'm like, well, that wasn't creepy at all. I actually said that out loud. And then a little while later, I think a couple of days or a couple of weeks down the road, I was sitting up about 3:00 in the morning because I work nights. So I'm up, and I see an apparition walk down the hallway. And I described what it was. I was actually doing a show with Brian Bowden, and I hadn't told anybody about this. And I had told people about the voice, but I hadn't mentioned anything about the apparition to anybody. And I brought it up. And he stopped me and he says, "What I'm seeing is a woman with short brown hair in a flower robe or house coat or something." And that's what I saw. And it reminded me of my mother. And he said that he was picking up on a motherly figure before I said anything. So could it have been my mom passing through, checking on me? Yeah, possibly.
Right. Or who knows?
Or
But don't you wonder why they just happen once? These weird things just once. It's not twice. It's just once. It ain't like you can say, "Oh, I have whatever activity all the time." No, it's even when I've had some weird stuff here at the home, it's like so sporadic. It's like 2-3 years can go by and nothing. And then all of a sudden your whole thing is like, oh, I guess we're back to that for a little while.
Yeah.
We've had things like I'll tell the story. I've told it before, Tex, but you hear my two daughters were in their bedrooms, separate bedrooms, but they're joined together by a bathroom. And I hear running up and down the hallway, just really loud. Like I'm thinking, well, what the hell are, because I figured, well, they just stayed up late and they're having fun. But I start getting my robe on to tell them to get to bed. They're making a lot of racket. And as I'm putting my robe on, there's like a bang on the door, like knocking. I'm like, golly, I'm getting a little mad now. Like, what in the world are they doing? I get up, put my robe on, go out there. There's nobody in the hallway. I go in my daughter's room. She's sound asleep. Go in my other daughter's room. She's sitting up, crying her eyes out, scared, like quietly crying. She said, "There's something I saw something in the room." And of course, I just grabbed her and held her, and I said, "Yeah, you heard all that commotion?" She's like, "Yeah." And it was, the banging on our door, but then it never happened again. Yeah. What was that? But it did happen. Like, almost 12 years went by, and then it happened again, like last year, once. But then that's it. What in the world is, why? Was it my state of mind? Was it the solar cycles, the planet alignment? You know what I mean? Yeah. We don't know. Some of us are just tuned in somehow. Is that it? Yeah. Because we're like a radio?
Well, and it's funny you mention that, because you start and y'all were talking a little bit, before I came on about frequencies and stuff like that. And there is, and I honestly didn't think the whole frequency thing held a lot of water until I watched a guy he's actually from Canada. He lives in the lower 48 now, if he's still alive. And he did these experiments back in the 70s and videotaped them. And it's called the Hajicek effect. And if you haven't looked at those, it's incredible what he does with vibration, with different frequencies. He levitates water out of a glass.
Oh, yeah.
Levitates a bowling ball, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Frequencies are, that's what our show was kind of about tonight. We covered a lot of frequency stuff, like, possibly the plans for the pyramids came from just a frequency, vibrating sand. The language, the hieroglyphics, maybe been formed by frequencies, and they were just copied. God knows. And so these questions always run through my head, but mainly that happens when something happens. I'm thinking about it now. What in the world caused that? Why did we see that? But yet the day before was quiet. The day before was quiet. Years of everything being normal. Because I think we kind of want it normal, don't we?
Right.
I do. I don't want to be bothered by
I don't
that.
know. Normal's pretty boring.
Well, yeah, like I'll go up to, go on expeditions and things, hoping to get out of the normal, but that's not my home.
Yeah.
I want my home to be normal, right?
And the one thing we talk about normal, and honest to God, that's a relative term. It really is. Because we lived in this one house and I kind of told you about it earlier when we were talking earlier, Doug, that we were the first owners of this house. It was a brand new house, brand new building. And we started having some activity. And when it first started out, it was, we would hear footsteps across the, sound like they're on the, upstairs. Like, what in the world is that? Lights are going on and off. My wife didn't believe in ghosts until she started getting her name called in that house when she was by herself.
Yeah.
We're sitting and there's several stories here. We were sitting down in the den and we were watching TV, and I was sitting on the couch and she was laying on the couch, had her head in my lap. And she had dozed off, and she raised up. She goes, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm right here." Scared her to death. She thought she saw me walking up the stairs.
Mm.
So one day, I was working nights, and I'm by myself at home, just me and the dogs. And it was about noon or so, and I was up, and I was in the kitchen. And if you look out to the right and you looked into the den along the wall that the fireplace was on, and I caught something out of the corner of my eye, and I looked, and there was a guy with a broad brim hat, a saddle coat, and a rifle crooked over his arm with one leg kicked up on the wall beside the fireplace, just standing there, full body apparition, bigger than Dallas. And I did a double take, and I looked, and he didn't just blink away. He kind of just kind of faded away. And I'm like, I'll be damned,
Is that the only thing like that you've ever seen?
That was the first thing that I saw.
Okay.
Not been the last. But a little time goes by, and we're laying in bed. And if you've got kids and they were little, and my kids were young, my youngest daughter she was in elementary school at this time. And, kids are crawling in bed with you, and you wake up with feet in your back, you're being pushed off the bed, that type of thing, right? So I'm getting feet in the back or whatever, and I'm like, so I sit up on the edge of the bed, and I turn around and I look behind me, and it's my wife, the dog, and what appears to be my youngest daughter in bed. And she's covered up all the way, nothing but the top of her head showing. And I'm like, okay, I see how this is going to go, right? So I reached over and I patted her on the head, and I just went up. I'll just go crash in her bed, right? So, and we were downstairs. She was upstairs. So I walk up the stairs and I flip on the hallway light, and she's laying in her bed, sound asleep. And I said, okay. So I turned the light back off. I walked back downstairs, and it was just my wife and the dog in bed.
Wow.
Whatever it was, I touched it. It was as solid as it was.
I always wondered if those are not some kind of weird time glitch. Like
maybe.
Time is nonlinear, and you're that was your daughter, just from whatever previous time or whatever.
I don't know.
Or another dimension where time is like, it's all similar. I mean, they claim, if you can believe it, there's like an endless amount of you texts. There's just tons of texts. They're all doing different things, slightly different.
Yeah, God help us, because I don't think there's more than one.
Yeah. Just imagine there's 10 jillion Jeffs, but they're all doing separate, just little different things. And that kind of makes sense, though.
Yeah.
It's weird to think about, but then sometimes they get mixed up, or
Yeah,
I
the whole
don't know.
multiverse. I mean,
I've experienced so many glitches. That's one thing I have experienced quite a few of these weird time glitches. Like, I can give you an example. We're driving up north, see a car broken down, very distinct car, like an old Rambler broken out. The guy's going down the ditch to get a bucket of water in the ditch to fill up his steaming radiator. And we're stuck in traffic, and we inch forward, and there he is again up in front of us doing the same thing. Like, what? Everybody's like, glitch. Like, there's no way he could have passed us. And then be broke down again, and then going down in the ditch again.
Yeah.
And then you witnessed it with 4 guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing. The whole deja vu thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, because I'm telling you, I know that I've sat and had conversation, but I'll be having a conversation, and I'm like, I've had this conversation with this person before.
Yeah.
Or I've seen this before. This happened before. It's weird. It's weird. Now, you were talking about, things lining up, timelines or, whatever.
Could be the solar system. We don't know.
Right. Well, and one thing that we found that a lot of these places with a lot of these different phenomena that happen pretty much on a regular basis, like Blind Frog Ranch, LBL, Brown Springs, Skinwalker Ranch, those type of areas. Ley lines cross. They intersect at these locations. Now, a lot of people don't understand that ley lines move. Okay. And that could very well, be one of the answers. I'm not saying it's the answer, but it's very, very possible. It could be one of the answers, that when these ley lines intersect and you happen to be at the right time, right place, that's one of these weird phenomena, these portals, all this kind of things just line up, the planets align per se, So, and if you frequent these areas, another weird thing that I think a lot more researchers are finding now is radiation readings in these areas. That's really weird. We was up in Brown Springs Cemetery, and one of our trackers bought a Geiger counter, and we were taking readings up there. And he found this spot, about a 2x2 spot above this grave, that gave off a radiation reading somewhere between a microwave and a chest x-ray. Okay. Wasn't dangerous, nothing like that. But it was only at night at this one spot. What? I mean, I don't know. I have no idea how this stuff works. It's like we had a just went blank. It records infrasound and ultrasound. Okay. And we've recorded both of them at the same time, out in the middle of the freaking woods, out in the middle of nowhere. I personally think that a lot of this could be just earth sounds, because if you get, we have minor earthquakes all the time, all over the place, even down here in Texas. This could very well be just earth sounds that we're not hearing, but they do affect us, and everybody's affected.
Sure. Yeah. The earth could make frequencies on certain, but we're not even aware.
And everybody's affected differently by different frequencies.
Yeah.
Nobody's the same. Right. So it could be, and they affect you the same effects that high EMF gives off. Okay. So you could be experiencing these things. It's real to you, but it's just this stuff, these vibrations or these frequencies jacking with you, because they do cause hallucinations or paranoia or whatever. A lot of people the whole Dogman phenomenon. A lot of people talk about, they call it Dogman sickness, the whole sense of dread that they when they're around these creatures and everything. None of my encounters with these dogmen, even what I think was a dogman, I believe was a dogman out there at Dogman Ranch that I saw by myself, I didn't have any of that. So I don't think it affects everybody like that. But
I wish we knew.
Oh, well, do we? If we knew,
Yeah.
And I'm not too sure that the answer wouldn't scare us more than the question.
Yeah, that's possible.
Because I'm.
It's kind of what the government's been hinting at, which is weird. You just every once in a while they'll have a Congress man or woman say something kind of shocking, like or a journalist that kind of seems to be in the know. I know Tucker said it. He goes, "You really don't want to know."
Yeah. And you can bet that any technology that we're seeing as laymen is at least 20 years behind of what they got.
At minimum, yeah.
And if you think about that, and just the technologies that we're seeing, we kind of touched on the whole AI thing, and that's a whole rabbit hole. I mean, that's a whole show by itself. But if you think about it, that will scare the daylights out of you, because if you look at how good the stuff is that we have access to, and you figure they're at least 20 years ahead of us, there's no telling what they could be doing.
Yeah,
no question.
But
spooky. Well, how about orbs? Have you seen UFO? We haven't even touched on orbs, UFOs, and Bigfoots, and I mean, geez, Tex, you're killing me. I mean, I've seen tons of orbs just in my life. I haven't seen anything lately, but the last ones we saw were two bright pink. I had never heard anybody ever mention pink, bright neon pink orbs that came right to our car, and then one went out and one took off after they went over our windshield. The last time
that I went out to Brown Springs and we used our alternate campsite, it's the one we use when we don't really want to run into anything. Because we haven't seen a whole lot of stuff out there. We go out there if we want just to go fishing, right, and have a relaxed camping trip. But we were out there, and there was, I don't know if you remember, several months ago, and I think it was maybe March or April, that bad dust storm that come across pretty much the whole U.S. It was horrible, and it was that weekend, and it was bad. It was bad. It was dry. I mean, the humidity levels were down to about 12%. There was dust in the air. It was bad, and a lot of brush fires going on, the whole 9 yards. So we're out there, and we start seeing these. You want to call them orbs, you can call them orbs, but I don't think they were. I think we debunked them because they were flashing. They were looked like about the size of a softball, maybe. And they were flashing in the woods. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. But what I think it was the humidity was so low and there was so much dust in the air that I think it was static discharge. And that's what we were seeing. Now, I'm not saying that's every orb, because these orbs weren't moving around, floating around. They didn't last. They were just flashes. But we had went up, Brandy Butcher was with me from Blondes and Booze, and a friend of mine, Nick, was up there, and a friend of hers, Holly, was up there in Brown Springs Cemetery. And that was a weird night. We went up there, and the first thing we ran across was one of those tall glass candles, and it was burned all the way down. There wasn't nothing left in it. And there was something burnt up down in the bottom of it. And then laying beside it was 4 pictures, modern pictures. Now, this cemetery, I'll tell you how old it is. The youngest death date is 1924. Okay. So these look like Facebook pictures. Oh, Mickey's here. So me being me, I reached down to grab these things, and they're like, "Don't touch them, don't touch them." So somebody was trying to do some voodoo hoodoo stuff. I don't know what they were doing. Okay. We found that, and we walked through the cemetery. Really, nothing happened. And we decided to, and I always get this chronologically jacked up. So we're all standing there back to back. Okay. And we go dark. We turn out all the lights. And there was, I love it out there because you get plenty of moonlight when you've got a good moon. And that, happened to be on this night. So we're all giving our, eyes time to adjust and everything. Me and Brandy are looking this way, and Nick and Holly are looking this way. They hear something over here. Me and Brandy see this silhouette of what appeared to be a Bigfoot. He was every bit of 8 foot tall, strolling amongst the trees down there like it wasn't nothing. And if you've seen one of these critters move, if you've seen them walk, if you've seen them run, it doesn't matter. They move like dancers. And what I mean by that is a good dancer, when they dance across the floor, their head doesn't bob. Okay. They almost look like they're floating on air.
Smooth as silk.
Right. And that's what this critter was doing. He was just walking amongst the trees. And me and Brandy saw it. That was her first Bigfoot sighting. And we saw it at the same time. And we watched it for several seconds before it, disappeared in the dark. So we're standing there, and then Nick had a thermal on him. So he's looking through the thermal, and he goes, "What is this?" So we start passing the thermal back and forth between the four of us, and we're all seeing this thing, but we can't see it with our naked eye. And what it was, through the thermal, you could see a hot spot, and it was hovering about 12 to 18 inches off the ground, and it was about that big. And it was sitting there, and it was undulating, much like a bubble in a lava lamp would. Okay. And we're standing there, and I was like, well, let's see what happens when we walk up to it. So I walk up to this thing. It moves away from me, right? And when I moved back, it moved back with me, keeping the same distance. It moved with intelligence. And like I said, we couldn't see this thing with our naked eye, only through the thermal. So, and we watched this thing, and it just gradually just cooled off and cooled off and cooled off and cooled off and went away.
Wow.
And it got me to thinking, everybody talks about seeing these blue orbs, pink orbs, whatever. Okay. Whatever color, it doesn't matter. But you're seeing it with your naked eye. What are we not seeing?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
that's why we need to take the garbage out, Tex. Yeah. That's exactly
orbs across the driveway, No,
I don't want to even do that. No, I don't like. I mean, I'll do it, but my head's always on a swivel.
Yeah,
I'm looking up. I'm terrible.
But how much of these things are we missing?
Oh, I'm sure there's so much. Oh my God, there's so many things that infrared light only sees.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many things that probably are. We saw an orb in the daytime, Tex, that came up to our deck while we were sunbathing. Yvette started, she was watching it. She watched it go around our tree.
I'm not going to be able to unsee that, Doug. You sunbathing. I'm never going to be able to get that.
Well, yeah, I was laying there sunbathing.
That's probably scary. I don't think man, a Bigfoot I've ever seen.
So I'm laying there.
I got my Speedo.
I got my swim trunks on, no Speedo, just my swim trunks, and I am oiled up though, Tex, in case you want that detail. I'm all oiled up. Yep. Oh yeah, glistening. And okay, all right, I'm stopping now. And I wasn't even laying down for 3 minutes, and she starts screaming, and I'm like, I look at her, and she's pointing to the deck rail, and I look, and there's an orb sitting right above the deck rail, and it's Vanta black, and it's changing shapes. And I grab my camera really sneaky, and I'm like, turn it on, and I do the quick motion, and it's gone. And I did get film of it. Jeff's seen it. You've seen that, the black orb.
Nice.
And so we film it, and we go inside to look at it. We come back out, and here comes another one right out of the water, right out of the lake, and directly to the sky. And that's the one that really gave Yvette PTSD, because she said you would never see that at night. There's not a chance. It was jet black, blacker than black.
Yeah.
I got it. But once again, like, what in the world are these things, and why did it approach us?
Yeah.
It makes you feel very vulnerable.
Yeah. They move with intelligence.
Well, she said when she first saw it, she jerked back. When she first realized this isn't a balloon, when she first saw it, she thought, well, it's got to be a balloon, that got loose, a helium balloon. But she jerked back, and it jerked back exactly like she did. And she was like, oh, crap, this thing's alive. And that's, of course, when she started screaming. She freaked her out, and she started screaming, and that's where I got involved. And she's like, that thing was the distance of a rake handle. And I'm like, yeah, that's scary. And then you wonder, well, what effect did that have on us? Because we talked about that a little bit today. Because I've noticed a lot of, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've noticed a lot of Bigfoot researchers get cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I've just noticed that. And it kind of
that
scares
goes back to the whole radiation thing I was talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a link to that.
There could be, and I don't know. I know that, a lot of people have claimed their EMF meters get pegged when these things are around. I have had my phone burned out, like not just batteries dead, but burned out from filming a whole swarm of orbs in our yard. And then it burned out all of our low voltage electronics in our home, burned out my boat electronics. That little sighting cost me almost 10 grand.
Oh, wow.
Because insurance wouldn't cover any of it.
Wow.
Imagine, TVs aren't that expensive, but they're not that cheap. It burned out every USB port on every TV.
Wow.
And that's kind of weird, right? And then, so it can't be good for you. If it can fry my phone.
Absolutely.
What can it do to your internal organs?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, talking about that, the whole electronics being affected and everything like that. We were up again in Brown Springs Cemetery, and there were 5 of us. It was me and I used to have this paranormal team that went with me, and there were a mother-daughter team, and the daughter's very, very sensitive. And we were up there, and I was still wet behind the ears as far as paranormal stuff went, right? And I'm still learning. Well, we're always learning, right? And so we're up there, and it's us 3 together, and then my, two other fellers are over there. Gary Spock Sr. and his son. They're about 20 yards away from us, something like that. Well, when we first get up there and we separate, the 3, me and the 2 girls, we separate. And I get this, I don't know, it was like, if you've ever done a hard workout, you get...
Yeah, right before I put the bathing suit on, yeah.
Yeah. You pumped up. I get it. But when your arms, they kind of still feel like the weight's there, but they're light, it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? You feel flushed, got that burn going, that good burn going. And so I kind of get that feeling, and I'm like, what is going on? Because it just come out in the middle of nowhere. Well, they said it's probably something trying to attach itself to me. And I'm like, well, get off me. I literally did that, get off me. And it quit. So we're walking through the cemetery, and I've got a headlamp on, and Amy is carrying like a big 6x9 LED adjustable light. Okay. This thing blot out the freaking sun, right? And my headlamp and her light go off at the same time, go black. We had to physically turn her lights back on. And when she turned hers back on, the adjustment was reversed because you could dial the intensity of the light up and down. It was reversed. It was weird. Now, we also had a spirit box with us, but it's not one that, made noise that just the words came across the screen type thing. And we got 3 words. We got Solo, Beast, Grace. Okay. Now, what was odd about this, now, could it be coincidence? Absolutely. Okay. Just saying. But when does this stuff stop being coincidence? That's my question.
Well, that's a good topic, actually, coincidences, because some people experience a lot of them.
Yeah.
I have.
When does it stop being a coincidence?
I have a book it's all written, and God, I haven't released it yet. The whole book is about 400 pages of coincidences that have happened to me that are quite stunning.
Yeah.
Some of them just beyond belief even. And it's like, I mean, they always seem to help you. They don't ever seem to hurt you, but oh my God. I do think we need to pay attention to them.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But some people don't ever experience any coincidences. Like,
don't ever dismiss them. I don't think you should ever.
Right. I think it's your responsibility to figure out what it's about, right?
Right.
You shouldn't blow them off. You should really dig deep and try to figure out what did that mean.
Right. We get these 3 words. Okay. Well, her husband is parked down at the bottom of the hill, which is about 100 yards away, next to my truck. And he's by himself down there. Well, earlier, so that takes care of Solo. Okay. And earlier back at camp, Junior had said, "Damn, Amy, he called him a beast because he's a big old boy, right?" And then you have Grace. Okay. Grace is the name of my truck. I call my truck Grace. So it's, like I said, when does it quit being a coincidence?
Yeah.
At the same time, all this is happening to us. Pops and Junior are seeing these cat-like entities that are in the trees, and then they come down out of the trees, and they're approaching them. And then these things go up on 2 legs, and then they'll drop back down to 4 legs.
You just can't say this crap and just think it's going to end right there. Cat-like entities. Okay, You better explain a little bit more.
So that's what they because when they first saw them, they thought they were mountain lions.
They're not coatimundis or raccoons or.
So, and then they jumped down out of there. I think there was 3 of them, and they jumped down out of the tree. And then, like I said, they stood up on their hind legs, and then they go back down to all 4s. And then, and we didn't have any lights going. They didn't have any lights going, but then they hit them with a light. Finally, because they got close enough, Pops drew his gun. I mean, it was that intense. And Junior hit him with a light, and these things disappeared.
Oh.
Turned the light back off, and they were right back where they were.
Wow.
That happened 2 or 3 times. So we decided it was time to probably back out, right? So we gathered up and we were leaving, and then we heard something circling from behind us through the trees. So we moved down the trail, and we see something jump across the trail. Now, there's a pile of sand that it's not like somebody dumped a bunch of sand there. It's just naturally a pile of sand that's there on the side of the hill. And for some reason, Junior goes, "Well, I'm going to go over here and take a look and see if I can see any tracks in this sand." There was 2 12 to 14 inch hooven prints in this sand.
Like deer tracks or?
No, like horse tracks.
Okay, like horse.
That would have had to been like a Belgian or a draft horse that made those. I mean, you're talking about something that's this big.
Wow.
Right. Now, there's a picture, and it's not mine. I didn't take it, but I found what was in it at the base of the cemetery. And I didn't supply it because it's not my picture. But the guy was driving by the area, and he says, he shoot me a text with this picture. He says, "This is what your favorite area looks like. I love going to the cemetery. It's all grown up, and this is what it looks like." I said, "Well, that's fine. And Danny, what about that big critter standing in the shadows back there?" And there's this huge shadow thing. I mean, I'm not saying it's a Bigfoot. Because this thing, we took measurements. We went and tried to recreate the picture. We couldn't recreate the picture. We took measurements. And this thing, if it was standing on the log that was back there, it was 12 feet tall. If it wasn't, it was 14.
Okay, good night, everybody. 14 foot or 12. Yeah. The little 12 or a big 14.
Yeah. Now we've talked to some people that know the history of the place, and we also talked to some mediums, okay, and they didn't know we were talking to them. They didn't even know each other, so we wanted to take that out of the equation. It's kind of a double blind thing, and we were like, "What's the lore? What are you feeling?" Or that type of thing, depending on who we were talking to. And I think we talked to 4 or 5 different ones, and we got the same question or the same answer. That legend has it that there's a huge. This is how we explained to us. I don't have any other details. A huge dark entity that was either. One person told us it seemed like it was protecting the place. And another person told us that it was said to be almost not watching over, but it was almost like keeping souls pinned in that place. So, yeah. And then we get that big shadow thing. That's all I can call it. But it looked like Andre the Giant standing back there in the trees, what it looked like. And then we find those hoof prints years later. So what is it? I don't know. But there's something there. And I mean, we've had, Bigfoot sightings and, EVPs there. I was going up there one night, and I'm down at the bottom of the cemetery, and I'm getting ready to go up there. I'm getting my gear ready. And I didn't hear any of this till I played it back. But there's growls for like 5 minutes while I'm sitting there getting my gear ready that I never heard. And then I'm walking up the trail, and about halfway up the trail, you hear a female voice, and I'm alone at midnight. You hear a female voice that sounds like it's right in my mic. And she says, "Come on." So you got, and that's just the tip of the iceberg of what we've experienced out there. We've had things push on our tents. We've had things walk next to our tents. We had something when me and Nick was out there by ourselves. We're in separate tents. And whenever I can, I sleep with my rainfly off because I want the experience of to wake up or to hear something and roll over and see something looking in my tent. I want that to happen. So I keep my rainfly off whenever I can. He was all buttoned up and I wasn't. Okay. We hadn't laid down probably 15 minutes and we start hearing footsteps, bipedal footsteps around our tents. And I'm sitting there with a grin on my face. I'm loving this. The campsite that we had, one side of it goes down to the river through about 300 yards of woods. The other side is butted up next to a wild plum thicket. You couldn't make a better Bigfoot base camp. You just couldn't, right? So we're laying there and we're hearing these things, and I haven't said a word. And I hear them, they pretty much avoid my tent and they go over next to his. And then I hear him, Tex, is that you? And I said, nope. And then so we hear him walking around a little bit more. And then he goes, all right. And they push on his tent. And he said, all right, y'all getting too close. Get out of here. Right. So I said, well, if you start throwing lead down range, let me know, because I'm going to roll off this cot and hit the dirt. Right. So I go to sleep. He can't go to sleep. Right. But I go to sleep. So he hears something later that night messing around in our firewood, which is about 30, 40 feet away from us, right? Mess around in our firewood stack. And here's something dragging or walking. And so the next day we get up. Well, Pops, Gary Spike Sr., had came in the next day, and he found this piece of wood, and it was a special piece of wood because it was about 8 foot long and it's about that big around. He's always looking for stuff to build walking sticks, and that's what he does. He custom makes walking sticks. And he found this piece of wood laying over by my tent in grass that was about 1.5 feet tall. LBL is it borders Kentucky and Tennessee. Land between the lakes is what it's called. So we start looking at this. Where this thing was laying, there was no drag marks. The grass was not laid down anywhere except where this 8-foot stick was laying. Whatever, and that was when we went to bed that night, it was in our firewood pile. Whatever this thing was, walked over, picked this stick up, and threw it over in this grass. Because there was no tracks, no drag marks, no grass laid down except where the stick was laying. And whatever did that had to have opposable thumbs.
Interesting. We're getting a little behind on questions. Somebody had asked about the claw. They wanted you to describe the claw.
Yeah.
Could you do that real quick?
Yeah. Uderson found a claw stuck in a tree down there on Dogman Ranch, and it's black. And it looks like it's got a curve to it. It's broken up, so it's kind of hard to tell. He took it to a vet, and the vet couldn't. The vet couldn't identify it. He said it looked canine, but it's huge, and what it's doing stuck in 8 foot up in a tree, I don't know. But this thing is about that long. So, but we've got pieces of it.
You do?
Yeah, we've got pieces of it. Now I don't know. It could be nothing but a porcupine. Right. And I got to tell you, folks, I've lived in Texas all my life. We've got porcupine here in Texas, but I've never seen one in a while. Never. And if you want to hear a strange sounding critter, listen to a damn.
Yeah, they are strange. They sound like a little kid.
It's like a Smurf talking or something.
Yeah. They have baby talk. But, so what's your scariest case that you've ever investigated, or story that you've heard that kind of really sticks in your craw?
I know how this is going to sound, but I don't get scared when I go out there. It's an adrenaline rush for me when I go out there. I enjoy going out there. I've only felt like I needed to draw my weapon once.
Well, that's why we'd make a good team, Tex, because I could ride on your back.
There you go.
I could just jump up if I get scared.
If you want to get somewhere fast, don't jump on me, because I ain't going nowhere fast. I'm telling you. But Me and Pops were in camp by ourselves one night, and we were on a live show with the girls, the Blondes and the Boos, and something bluff charges up out of the ravine on the riverside of that camp I was just talking about with the plum thicket, and it sounded just like, to me, it sounded just like that whatever charged me back when I was 16.
Heavy.
Yeah, it was big, whatever it was. And I am so bad about not packing my pistol on me. I always leave it in my truck because I carry a 45, and it doubles as a boat anchor. Damn thing's huge and heavy. I always leave it in my truck. I never have it on my hip at all. But his shotgun was leaning up against his chair. I jumped up and grabbed his shotgun. He'd walked off to take a whiz. And I jumped up and grabbed his shotgun. He saw me. He came over there. I gave him the shotgun. I reached in my truck and I got my 45. And whatever it was, went through the ravine up on our side and then went back down away from camp through the trees. But we never saw it, but we heard it, and it made a hell of a racket. But that's the only time that I've ever drawn a weapon since I've been up there. Now, I will say this. I was out there by myself, and I was waiting on another couple to show up, and they were running late, and it was 11 o'clock at night, and I was down there. I had my camp set up where I had my first Bigfoot sighting down there. And I'm just sitting around camp, killing time. And I was actually recording. I've got the recording. And I don't know what it was. I'm not going to pretend to know what came in the area, but everything was hunky dory. And then all of a sudden, the energy just changed. I mean, it got dark and ominous, and I was not alone. I knew that much. And I talk about it, I'm talking to the recorder, and hey, Danny, and it lasted for about 30 minutes, and it was dark, heavy, ominous feeling. That's the only way I can describe it. Okay. It lasted for about 30 minutes, and it was gone as quick as it came. So those are really the only two times that I've even got my hackles up down there. Most of the stuff, everything else I've run into, it just happens, But the best tree, and I'm not a real big tree structure break kind of guy, because these areas with this old growth stuff, man, that's hard to. It's really got to be. I really have to not find any kind of explanation for it to go, okay, it maybe something made this or something like that. But the best tree break that I've ever seen was down there in Brown Springs, down in the floodplains, and we were walking down through there. And in fact, it was the same place. Yeah, it was the same place I had my time loss incident. And we're walking down through there, and there's a live oak tree that was about this big. I couldn't get both hands quite around it. And it had been twisted until it had exploded. It looked like, you remember back in kindergarten, first grade, when you made those little lanterns out of construction paper, that's what it looked like. I mean, the thing had just exploded. It had been twisted and exploded about 3 feet off the ground, and it was laid over into another tree. The tree was still bleeding. That's how fresh this was. And we looked and looked and looked, and we tried to find footprints. We tried to find tool marks, anything. Couldn't find nothing that would explain this. Okay, maybe it was the finger of God come down and twirled it, and dust devil, something like that. Okay, if you want to go down that route, there's dozens of little saplings all around this thing that were rotten, and they weren't touched. It's one of those things that I can't explain. Aside from something that that maybe the tracks got covered by leaf fall, walked up there and just twisted this thing and popped it. It's the only thing I can come up with, But the time loss incident, it really didn't strike me as it didn't really spook me that bad when it happened. But after I got time to think about it, it was just hard. I have no explanation for it.
Yeah.
And I was told by two different psychics that I was, or two different mediums that I was abducted at that point. I didn't have any ill effects from it. We were walking back to the truck. We had got there about 8:30 in the morning, and we had to pick the guy I was with. We had to go pick his kids up about 3:00 from the bus stop. So we're out walking around, and we got hungry. We didn't even know what I make it a point not to look at my phone. Okay. And so we start getting hungry. Well, let's go head back. We'll go grab some lunch, and we'll go pick the kids up. Right. So we turn around, we start walking back towards the truck. We totally missed the truck. Totally. And we shouldn't have, because the trail where you walk up to the truck it's unmistakable. Okay. There's tree falls there. We knew the area. We should not have missed it. We didn't just walk by this thing and turn around. Oh, we missed it. We missed this thing by 1/4 mile. And when we finally figured it, we looked at each other and go, man, did we miss it? And we turned and we walked back, and it was 1/4 mile back. We had walked past that by 1/4 mile. But we don't really have any memory of that there's some time there. There's just, it's like we remember turning around because we were hungry, and we remember going, oh, I think we missed the truck, and then turn around and going back to the truck. That's really all we remember. Now, we stayed on each other's hip. We never lost sight of each other. Now, he had a camera and he was recording. I can't get the footage. Me and him no longer speak. So when he went back and looked at the footage, one thing that was weird, when you film with a digital camera and you turn it off and turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, stop, start, the files are numbered, 1, 2, 3, 4. They were all jumbled up. Okay. The files were all jumbled up. Another thing that was odd was at some point, there's two pieces of footage that one piece I saw, one piece I did not, but two other people that knew the guy said they saw it. So, but anyway, the first piece of footage that I saw was somebody or something had the camera, and they were running through the trees, running through the bottoms, and I mean, spinning around 360 degrees. Neither one of us were inside. Okay. I'm not saying it was him, not saying it was me. I don't know. The second piece of footage, I was on Rob's show, Bigfoot Michigan Rob's show, and we were talking about this. And it was right after I had talked to Jessica Jones, and she remote viewed the incident, and she said I was abducted. Now, I don't know. Okay, I'm not saying it was. I'm not saying it wasn't. But so we were talking about the incident, and these two people started talking about, well, what about the other footage? I'm like, what other footage? And I found this out live on air. They said that they had seen another piece of footage from that time where the camera hit the ground, and and it filmed the other boy running off. So, but see, none of that happened as far as I know. None of it. So that one, after I thought about it, bothered me, because supposedly all this happened and I wasn't aware of it. I didn't have any control over the situation. That bothers me. That bothers me.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You've had really an immense amount of experiences.
Absolutely.
I've been blessed. I really have.
And one of your gifts is that you do remember all of them.
Yeah.
But you would need a 50-hour podcast to get all of them out. Probably that's probably what it would take.
Well, I'm in the middle of writing a book.
Oh, good, because that'll be one hell of a book.
It's my journey from my Dogman sighting all the way up to we got the fingerprints off the trucks. Y'all know about the fingerprints on the trucks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
do you think these things are attracted to water? All this activity.
Mhm.
Somebody had asked that.
I do. And see, that's another thing that's odd about, or special, I'll say, about Brown Springs Cemetery, because at the base of the cemetery, there's a freshwater, cold water spring that bubbles up right there. I mean, that's where it bubbles up. It runs directly underneath the cemetery. So I think the whole water running through, the whole quartz rubbing together, they've got energy, that, and the whole vibration thing. And
yeah,
I think there's something to that. I really do.
Sure seems like it. I mean, water. It seems to increase the paranormal or Bigfoot activity or any cryptid activity. Yeah. Of course, people then go, well, they need water. I think there's more to it than that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Obviously there's travel corridors and whatnot, but I don't know.
My favorite question is, well, how can something that big hide? There's no place. Have you never, what?
Yeah.
What? Down here in Texas, they got all kinds of.
Well, okay. Well, let's ask Jeff, because he's very level-headed on this stuff. What is your biggest argument, Jeff, as to why they may not exist in your mind? All these things, like Bigfoot and Dogman.
Why they may not exist?
Yeah, may not. I mean, what's that thing that nags on you going, well, gee.
Just the lack of a smoking gun. I'm inclined to believe more that they exist than not. But
I realize. But what is the argument?
Well, the biggest argument is just it's lack of a smoking gun, lack of a body. I mean, a lack of a physical body of anything is I think the number one argument against, and it's a compelling argument, obviously. I think there's a lot of evidence for, but that's the number one, in my opinion, is just lack of a smoking gun, physical corpse, bones, the skull. We're to the point now where I wouldn't trust any new pictures or video that comes out. It's just too easy to fake that.
Oh, yeah.
So I think for a lot of people, I mean, I'm convinced of a lot of this stuff, but I think for a lot of doubters, it's just going to require a body. It really is. I just don't know any other way.
Yeah, it's going to require. And I honestly, I think some of these people are so dead set and they don't want to believe that this thing. You could drop a body on the courthouse steps and give them a day to draw a crowd, and they still wouldn't believe it.
I agree. Some people are willfully determined to not change their mind at all.
And you know what? And some of them with good reason. Me and Doug had talked about this too. Some of them with damn good reason, because it would shatter their reality.
Yes.
And they would never venture out again. I can't tell you how many times that I've talked to people that's had experiences and they refuse to go anywhere. The late great Kerry Arnold, with Bigfoot Odyssey. When I first met Kerry, and he was at that level, he had experienced it spooked him, and he swore he would never go back out in the woods. I said, Kerry, you're going to, brother. I said, it's going to take baby steps, but you'll get there. I said, trust me, I've been there. I know what you're going through with my Dogman experience. And eventually he got back to doing. He went back out in the woods. He went researching again. He did that, but he was more interested in telling the story about, not necessarily about the Bigfoot, but the people. He wanted to tell their story. It was more his documentaries that he did was more about the people, and which I thought was fantastic. And I was he was a great friend. He really was. He's missed. He's missed. But yeah, I mean, it's either going to take a body or a sighting for people. I'm with you. You know.
Well, and kind of like Doug said too, some people, their brain just can't handle it. They can't handle the unknown. They can't handle the idea that there's something bigger, greater, more powerful than them. And I think encountering a Bigfoot would just you're encountering a Bigfoot in person. You know that you're not in charge. It's like swimming with a shark. You know that you're not the boss there, and a lot of people cannot handle the lack of loss of control. They just can't. Their brain cannot handle it. Well, and there's good and bad about that, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's the whole
what it boils down
valley.
to.
It's the whole uncanny valley thing.
Yes. Yeah.
You know. So, but I mean, I've been so blessed. I mean, since I started doing this, because it was funny because the first time that I ever went out to do the Bigfoot hunting thing or whatever, looking for Bigfoot, however you want to look at it. The first time we get down to Brown Springs, I'm with this old feller, and we get out of my truck, and he's getting his camera stuff together, and I'm just taking in the lay of the land. I'd never been there before. I wanted to pick out some landmarks, so my big country butt didn't go off down here and get lost. Okay, so I'm looking around, and we're on the edge of a hayfield, and on the other side of a thin tree line, about 10 yards thick, is a wheat field, and the wheat's about 4 feet high at this time, right? And I'm just kind of looking around, and I'm waiting for him to get his stuff together, and I'm looking through this tree line into this wheat field. And this critter stands up in the middle of this wheat field. Stands up, looks both ways like he's going to cross the freaking street, and takes off running down into the brush, into the bottom. Pardon me. And I saw him from about the waist up till he hit the fire break, and then I caught him about 2 or 3 strides head to toe. That was my first sighting, my first Bigfoot sighting. Wow. 8:30 in the morning, 8:30 in the morning. And my exact words were, "I'll be damned." There goes one right there. And he goes, "What? What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he just ran down through there." And what was cool, he goes, "Man, he called them sentinels. Okay, lookouts, whatever." And I think he's right. So we go down, we continue, and we go down in the bottoms, and we take a left, which would have crossed his path, okay, where he ran off to. We start hearing something. We're walking down through the bottoms, and we start hearing something on the ridge. And we hear something walk through the trees, and then we'll hear a couple of, and I don't know if they're doing wood knocks or mouth pops or both. I think they do both. But we'll hear one of the two, and then it goes silent. We'll walk another 100 or so yards, and we'll hear it all again. And we theorize what was going on was he was pushing a group, maybe a family group, in front of us so we wouldn't walk up on them. I mean, it makes as much sense as anything else does. That was my first Bigfoot sighting. You know, my second one took place my second daylight sighting took place at another campsite. We were scouting out and through a set of binoculars. And these two critters couldn't have looked more different, because the first one I saw he was built like a basketball player. And he was every bit of 8 foot tall, because we measured a wheat, and the wheat was about 4 feet high. And I could see him from the waist up running through that wheat. So we know how tall he was. But he didn't have a conical head. He had a round head. He was just solid black, slick fur, right? Now, and he was about 50, 60 yards away from me. So I didn't.
Was the head little or like big?
No, it was proportionate.
Proportionate. Okay.
Yeah. But the second one I saw him through a set of binoculars, and we were scouting out this campsite, and I was looking through binoculars, and I was looking through the trees and everything. And I saw him standing in the trees, hugging a tree, in fact, about 40 yards in. And he was colored like a calico cat. You know, that smoky gray, white, black, patch looking cat? I call it calico. And he was fuzzy. I kid you not, he was fuzzy. And he wasn't but about 6.5, maybe 7 foot tall. but he was hugging a tree. And I think some of them, we talk about how intelligent they are. Not all of them, I think, are that intelligent, because I think sometimes some of them have that mentality of, I can't see you, you can't see me, because he was hugging this tree and had his head on the other side of the tree. I could see his body, but I couldn't see his head. Well, then I'm passing the binoculars, and I learned a hard lesson that day. Put your binoculars at least on a monopod, if not a tripod. Because when you see something, passing your binoculars back and forth ain't going to cut it. Because by the time the three of us got through passing them back, he was gone. But we went and scoped out the tree that he was standing at. And there was a path wore down to the dirt around this tree, and a trail the same way leading off into the brush. And it purposely missed. It was a well-worn path. And he purposely missed dead branches laying on the ground. So I think you've heard people talk about, we are their TV, we're their entertainment. Absolutely. Absolutely, they watch us.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I think I think he sits there and watches that campsite. Probably.
Well, okay, you said calico cat hair. You just can't say crap like that and then just stop. Can you be a little more? Can you describe? Was it like what they call piebald, where it was like cacao kind of hair, or like?
No, it was like a cat. I mean, it was fuzzy.
Fuzzy. So it had fuzzy fur. Okay, fuzzy hair.
I don't know how to explain it. It was longer hair, but it was like.
But the coloration, what was the coloration like?
Patches of white, black, gray.
See, I saw the one me and Yvette saw had like a lot of like white specks all over it, and black hair with white black hair with white specks. It was beautiful. It was like unlike anything I've ever seen. But this was like any animal you've ever seen. Like it was like different than anything you've ever seen.
Yeah.
In any animal.
I've never seen anything like I said, big calico cat, big fuzzy cat.
Well, you just can't say crap like that and then walk away.
I don't know how else to explain it.
Well, I know, but okay. So it had white. How big were the white patches?
They varied. I mean,
show us, with your hand, how big some of them were.
They went from, that big to this big. I mean,
oh God!
Like I said, they were all kind of in together. I mean, it was.
So it's kind of similar to what we saw, sort of.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the face?
Have black running down and then gray take off from it, then white, and it was just almost a camo pattern of white, black, and gray.
That's crazy. What about the face of a Bigfoot? You've seen the face of a Dogman. Have you seen the face of a Bigfoot yet?
I have not.
I haven't either.
I have not. That's why, I said earlier, I when I can, I sleep with a rain fly off, because I want that experience. I want to see that big boy or whatever looking in my rain.
But wouldn't you be better off putting the rain fly on and figuring out a way to put a porthole in the tent or a small? Maybe. That would be better. I think they're more likely to approach if they think you can't see them.
Yeah.
You might want to try that. I mean, we should talk more. By the way, are you willing to do a members bonus show with me coming up this week? You can pick the day and time, because it's a bonus show. It won't be live, so we can do it anytime you want, Tex.
Sure.
But we got to get into one of these goofy, crazy conversations like we can do. And
we go down some rabbit holes, don't we?
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, that's the idea. We'll just go down a bunch of rabbit holes. Yeah. I really, I don't want to quit, but we really need to. Yeah, we've been on for like 3 hours and 20 minutes or longer. So, okay. So I'm going to call you and we're going to plan that bonus thing, or that member show this week. Okay. Sound good? Okay. So if you're a member, that's what's going to happen. You're going to see that in a week. And thank you so much for coming on, Tex.
Oh, my pleasure.
Great conversation.
Yeah, it's so
we
fun.
didn't even get into the fingerprints or nothing.
Oh, I know. There's so much,
Lots
but
to talk about.
but we'll do that this week, so we don't forget about what we talked about. We can get into new territory. So I will call you even this weekend here. We'll get that planned out. So let's go ahead and do our wisdom of the week. Stay put, Tex, and everybody. We'll be right back.
It's now time for Untold Radio AM Wisdom of the Week. We often wait for big moments to feel alive, landing the jump, hitting the milestone, reaching the dream. But the truth is, life isn't lived in grand events. It's lived in the quiet, ordinary moments. The laughter on a call with a friend, the way sunlight spills across your morning coffee, the relief of finishing something you once dreaded. If you're always chasing the next peak, you'll miss the beauty of the path beneath your feet. So this week, slow down. Notice the little things, because sometimes the smallest moments are the ones that last the longest. Also, if we have earned it, please leave us a kind comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thanks.
And we are back.
One thing I do want to mention before I get out of here, and I should have mentioned it earlier, is our conference coming up that you're helping sponsor, by the way.
Oh, yeah. The
Crossing Realms Conference.
Yeah, the Crossing Realms.
Yeah, we did a poll for that.
Yeah, we are a sponsor, and in fact, what's the date on that again?
September 19th and 20th.
Yes.
Missouri.
So we're going to, Jeff, next week, we got to play the Crossing Realms commercial, and we will do that again. And yeah, check it out. It sounds like a really cool conference.
Yeah,
like
I think
really,
so.
really cool. And I would imagine you're working with Rob on that.
Yeah, working with Rob, Jason McLean, the Blondes and Booze.
I didn't know Jason was involved in that.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he'll be there.
Jason's like so cool. He's
yeah.
I talk to him like every week, and he's such a blast.
Yeah, he's like a little brother to me, man.
He's a very smart man.
He is.
He's too smart for his own britches, I tell him.
Well, you ain't kidding, right?
And he always reminds me. He always says, "But I'm so sexy too."
He is. you know, I mean, he is a sexy hunky man.
What can we say, right?
Yeah.
What can we say? Anyhow, so we'll be back next week. We've got a great guest. Same time, same channel. Please, down below, hit the subscribe button. We'd really like to see that, and give us a thumbs up, and we will see you all next week.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
I call you up in the middle of the night. Been bothered by dreams, ain't feeling alright. You give me comfort, say just give it some time. By the end of our talk, I'm feeling just fine.